This is how my Minecraft world looks, and by the end of this video, it's going to look like absolute chaos, because in this video, I am going to be Google translating Minecraft blocks 1,000 times. I found a list of the most popular Minecraft blocks, and we're going to be starting with some of the blocks you can find in the overworld. This is a dirt block, and we're going to be turning it into an obstacle. Okay, so I just made a hurdle out of the dirt, and then I added a white background in the back. Next, we are translating a grass block, and we got animal. Obviously, you guys already know what animal I'm going to pick for this one, so I drew a yellow head, and then I gave the duck an orange beak. For an oak log, I got blog, so I drew a computer monitor on top of the oak log like this, because you usually would read a blog on a computer. I don't know if blogs even still exist though. Like, when was the last time you read a blog? For oak leaves, we got oak leaves with a period on the end, so I drew a bunch of circles on top of the leaves, which are supposed to be periods. And then for tall grass, I got sheep. So we'll just paste a picture of a sheep's head on top of the grass like this. This is actually kind of scary, having sheep heads like this all over the world. Next, we'll translate some sand. Canada. For this one, I took the Canada flag and made it fit into the size of a block. Now we can do oak planks and the table. I cut a little table part out of the wood plank like this, and then I added some table legs underneath as well. We'll also add a blue background like this, because I don't know what happens if you leave it transparent. For water, we got underwater, so I drew some scuba gear on top of the water, because you need scuba gear to dive underwater, and that concludes all of our overworld blocks. As you can see, this world is looking really weird already. I mean, there's ducks all over the floor, sheep staring at me, but this is only the beginning, because by the end of the video, this world will look completely different. So next, let's do some cave blocks. In a cave, you'll find stone everywhere, and we got at a distance. I just shrunk the stone down so that it appears to be very far away. Deep slate is also abundant in caves, and we got blackstone. Blackstone is already a real block, so I just put the texture of blackstone over the deep slate. It does look a little bit messed up though, because I forgot to change the top. For tuff, I got difference, so I just made the top half of the tuff have a difference in lighting like this, and then for the gravel, it translated to conscience, so I put a brain over top of the gravel like this. I wonder what the gravel is thinking of right now, guys. I wonder what it's thinking of. Next, let's do andesite, and we got alive. For this one, I just drew a face over top of the andesite like this. Now let's do granite, and we got freedom. The bald eagle is usually associated with freedom, so I just drew an eagle over top like this. Now we have a duck and an eagle. For diorite, we got great, so I colored it green and put a check mark on top, so now it's great. And we haven't done any ores yet, so next I translated iron ore, and we got metallic. I changed the stone background to make it look metallic instead, like this. Next for coal ore, I got I work, so I tried to make it look like the coal ore is wearing a miner helmet, so now the coal ore can mine for itself. This one's a little weird if you think about it. Now let's do diamond ore. They sell crystals. For this one, I just made an amethyst crystal take place of the diamonds. Next, I did copper ore and ended up replacing the copper with teeth, and then I did amethyst as salt. And now the overworld and the caves are looking very different, but we are just getting started. Now it's time to venture into the nether, but first we gotta take another look at these caves. I mean, this is something. The most common block in the nether is netherrack. We got Netherlands. Just like earlier with the Canada flag, I drew a Netherlands flag over top of the netherrack. Next, we'll do nether quartz. We got no city. For this one, I kinda did the opposite. Instead of drawing no city, I just drew a city. It was either that or do nothing, because quartz already has no city. For nether gold, we got I am asleep, so I drew some Z's on top of the nether gold to make it look like it's asleep. Guys, be quiet. We don't want to wake up the nether gold. And for nether bricks, I got clay brick. Clay bricks already exist in Minecraft, so I just put the brick texture over the nether bricks. Next, we'll do ancient debris. Okay, we got this place. I drew a nice little house on top of the ancient debris like this. Now let's do blackstone. We got bye. This is a hand waving goodbye on top of the blackstone. Next, I'm gonna do lava. Network. For this one, I just decided to draw a router on top of the lava. Does anyone else think this kind of looks like a face? For soul sand, it gave me oh my god, so I drew a Bible on top of the soul sand, and then for soul soil, I got the soul of the universe. Sounds kind of ominous. I tried to fit a whole picture of the universe into a block. That's the Milky Way right there, guys. I don't know if you can see it. Now let's do a warped stem. The idea is the opposite. The opposite of a warped stem is a crimson stem, so I just did that. And next I did warped wart. Okay, I don't really know what that means. I translated it and it means I'll have to fight, so I put a couple swords on top of the block. Next, let's do warped nylium. We got durable nylon. This is nylon, I think. Maybe it's yarn actually, but it's the best I could do. Now let's move on to some crimson things. Red stone. I could have just left the redstone block like this, but I decided to blend it into the crimson stem as well. Next, we'll do nether wart block. And we got rest. For this one, I just drew a bed on top of the block. For the last nether block, I did crimson nylium, and I got blue raspberries. I just turned the block blue because it kind of looks like raspberries already. Now this is another region of the game successfully translated, and I really like how all the biomes look way different this time. I kind of forgot to translate basalt though, so we can just leave these areas alone. And now that we've been to the nether, we have to make it to the end. So next it's time for some stronghold blocks. Shipping company. FedEx is a shipping company, so I put half of the logo on the side and the other half on the top. Next, let's do the eye on the portal. We got 4 things. Instead of the 4 we got, I decided to use the number instead, and I put 4 ender eyes instead of 1. Next, for stone bricks, I got country road. So I drew a road, then I put some grass on the sides, and finally I added some sky on the top. And for spawner, I got image. So I just put an image on top of the spawner. You guys will never find out what image this actually is. Next, let's do a bookshelf. And we got the library. I put 2 bookshelves here, and next I added a wall in the background to make a library. And now let's do a chest. Square. I just put a big red square over top of the entire texture. This kind of looks like one of those Christmas chests that Minecraft usually has. There is a bit of cobblestone in a stronghold, so let's do that. Something appears. I drew a magic wand with a top hat beside it because magicians usually make stuff appear. Now let's do mossy stone bricks. Croc. I put a lightning McQueen croc on top of the block texture. I think they should just replace whatever block this is with this block. I mean, this looks way better. For cracked stone bricks, I got a broken brick, so I just made a bunch of holes in the brick like this, and now our stronghold is pretty much done, as you can see. And this looks very bad. I mean, why would anyone want their stronghold to look like this? But now we can enter the end for our final set of blocks. Let's start with the most common one, the last stone. Sounds like a movie. I just cut a single stone out of the texture like this. Next, we'll do obsidian. Wait, I tried to draw a hand on top of the obsidian telling you to wait, but it does not look like a hand. Now let's do an end crystal. We got glass process. I just changed every part of the texture to the glass part like this. It's still technically an end crystal if you think of it. For bedrock, I got table, so I just made a bedrock table. And for a chorus plant, I got factory unit, so I drew a somewhat detailed factory. I especially like the prison window in the top. Next, let's do a chorus flower. Flower song. I drew one of those music symbols on top of the flower like this. Now we'll do purpur. Okay, we got agreement. I drew a contract on top of the purpur because a contract is an agreement. Purpur pillars also exist, so let's do that next. We got purple. Purpur pillars are already purple, so I just made them even more purple like this. To finish off the end, we have endstone bricks as some kind of base, and we have an ender chest as everything is alright. This doesn't really look how I expected it to turn out. And with the end finished, we have successfully turned our game from normal to completely cursed. Here's a quick recap. First, we have the cursed overworld right here, and then we have our weird looking caves as well. Next, here are some different parts of the nether, and then we have the translated stronghold as well. Finally, I bring you the cursed end dimension, which could honestly be my favorite, as it still looks kinda like the regular end dimension despite being cursed. I don't know about you, but I think Minecraft lacks different mob variants. Like, you know those texture packs with like 20 different cows? That should just be Minecraft. So today I added new upgraded mob variants to Minecraft, like this amber chicken, which is actually a mob in Minecraft Earth. For some reason the chickens in this mod flap their wings all the time, and I'm not fixing it. I'm just gonna call it a design choice. If you kill the amber chicken, instead of chicken, you get an amber. And if you place this amber in the crafting table like this, you can actually make amber armor. The armor isn't really that good though, because it's actually made of feathers. The amber was fake. Another fake item comes from the bronze chicken. When you kill the bronze chicken, it drops a bronze chicken, which appears to be cooked chicken, but it's not. You can also get brown eggs from the bronze chicken, but instead of throwing them, you can just eat them. This time without the nausea. This chicken is really fancy. Because it is called the fancy chicken, I don't think it's actually that fancy. So if you hate the fancy chicken like me, you can shear it to turn it back into a normal chicken. The fancy chicken is only found in the jungle. I can't remember why I made this choice, but it kind of makes sense. And if you right click the fancy chicken, it will say something fancy. Wow, this chicken is sophisticated. The midnight chicken only comes out at night. And unlike other chickens, the midnight chicken is not friendly at all. The thing is, it doesn't do any damage though. It just has a random chance of turning you into a chicken when it hits you. This isn't much different than before, to be fair. If you're bored of the normal cow, I'd like to show you the dairy cow. It's exactly what I was talking about in the intro. The dairy cow gives you raw milk when you milk it instead of regular milk, which doesn't make any sense given that regular milk is already raw, but you get strength 10 if you drink it, so go crazy. I also added the emo cow to the game. I think it's actually called the Umbra cow, and bro really needs a haircut. You can't even see his eyes. Don't try to cut its hair though, because if you do, you will get attacked. You can also milk this cow just like the last one, but this time it gives you a bucket of monster energy, and drinking the monster energy will give you speed 10. Basically, I made cows super OP. Something that could also be considered OP is the gold creeper, because every time it explodes, it turns the ground into gold blocks. The downside though is the gold creeper likes to hide in places like bastions where there already are gold blocks, so good luck stealing the gold now. Of course, you have to get to the nether first to get the gold, which is why the new obsidian creeper exists. Now, instead of making a nether portal with actual obsidian, you can just flint and steel this creeper instead. But if you don't have a flint and steel, you just have to kill it with a diamond pickaxe, just like normal obsidian. It also has a ton of health, so it's probably better just to let it explode. Once you get to the nether, you can be greeted by the soul sand creeper. This creeper variant is only found in soul sand valleys, and if you blow this one up, it will give you slowness for 10 seconds. It also creates a trail of soul sand underneath it wherever it goes, so if you ever wanted to make a soul sand farm, now you can. If you ever wanted more sea creatures in Minecraft, now you can have that with the orca. Orcas are known to eat fish and maybe even squids, so they fight both of these mobs. The orca is also sometimes called the killer whale, so you might want to make sure you don't get too close to these things. And if you kill the orca, it drops a crossbow too, cause you know they got it on them. You can also feed the crossbow to this raccoon. Yeah, the raccoon will eat anything in your hand because raccoons eat garbage. Raccoons will also attack you, and they move in gangs, so watch out. And yes, if you are wondering, the raccoon can and does commit robberies as well. Really, dude? The black ghast is kinda like the ghast of the end, except smaller. And instead of shooting at the player, the black ghast will actually help you fight the ender dragon instead. Well, it's supposed to, but it isn't really doing anything right now. Anyways, you can hatch it from a dragon egg, which really makes no sense considering it doesn't like the dragon. The night golem doesn't like the dragon either, or really any mob that is a threat to the village. The night golem is a more powerful version of the iron golem that is spawned using gold blocks instead of iron. You can also tame one of these guys with a crown, but only if you're the king, otherwise he won't fight for you. Since the warden is so scary, I decided to add the warden golem to the ancient city as well. The difference between the warden and the warden golem though is that the warden golem just walks around the ancient city. Yeah, it doesn't actually do anything. The warden golem is basically just there to scare you and that's it. If you find an ancient guardian fossil, you can use it to hatch an ancient guardian, which is a guardian that you can actually ride in the water, although it's really slow and I'm also floating. It should have been faster. I don't know what happened. The ancient guardian will also help you fight the other guardians if it could move. Yeah, something is just wrong with the ancient guardian. The crow, on the other hand, doesn't have anything wrong with it. If you find a group of crows, they are actually called a murder, so I made it so that the crows will attack you. You can also find crows randomly chilling at the top of buildings, and every now and then they will lay a crow egg, which you can use as a projectile weapon that actually does damage. Crow eggs hurt, I guess. This is a pig that was left out in the sun for too long. Found in the desert and other hot biomes, this is the mottled pig. That's it. It's just a variant of the pig. It has nothing special about it. The muddy pig is a little bit different though, because if you kill it, you can get some dirty pork. Yeah, I wouldn't advise eating that. If you don't want your pork to be dirty, you can clean your pig with water before killing it, but watch out for mud blocks though, because then your pig will become dirty again. The piebald pig looks like it's dirty, but it isn't. Those are actually just spots. And once again, it's just a regular pig, but this time I made it drop bacon. And it can also drop pepperoni, another meat that comes from a pig. Nether pigs drop nether pork, which is a pork chop that you don't need to cook. You can also give a nether pig some gold, and that will tame it, which allows you to ride the pig without even having a saddle. The nether pig is immune to fire damage, as you can see, and obviously a nether pig is found in the nether, because if it isn't, it turns into a zombified pig, which is basically the opposite of the nether pig. It drops rotten pork, which is bad for you. Do not eat this. And it does not like being tamed and also wants to kill you, so don't let your nether pig get into the overworld. You also shouldn't go near grizzly bears that can be found in the forest, because if you do, just like in real life, something bad might happen. Don't try to outrun the grizzly bear as well, because it's way faster than you. The only way to stop the bear from killing you is by taming the bear with honey, and apparently a lot of it. There's also another threat to your safety in hotter biomes as well. It's the naked ravager. The wild ravager, actually, who unlike the regular ravager, has no saddle or any of the other stuff on it. It's just a random ravager that you can tame if you sneak up on it using some bones. After taming the ravager, you can ride the ravager without a saddle, but you do sink down a little bit though. Fuzzy sheep are a type of sheep that has a lot more wool than into normal sheep. As you can see, I can shear this thing forever. It never stops. And instead of dropping wool blocks, it drops yarn, which can actually be crafted into armor. It's just like the old feature in Minecraft Alpha, except the armor is actually made of wool this time. Tropical slimes spawn in the bottom of the ocean, and they are super tiny only, because I couldn't figure out how to change the size. What I can do though is make them drop blue slime, which is slightly different than green. You can craft a blue slime block with 9 slime balls, and instead of bouncing you, the blue slime block gives you jump boost instead. I think this is a little too high. If you combine a skeleton with a spider, you get a bone spider, which is a mob that hides very deep down in the caves at the deep slate layer. The bone spider likes to shoot bone shards at you instead of biting you, and if you kill one of these spiders, you can get some of the bone shards to use as a weapon for yourself. Villagers deserve to have more variants added, as there hasn't been a village update in a while, so I added the angry villager to the game, who unlike regular villagers, is not friendly at all and attacks anyone and anything. You also can't trade with the angry villager, as he just takes your emeralds. And this guy is so annoying that even the night golem fights him. But the enchanter is actually a serious villager, and he lives in this new custom village house. You can really tell I tried with this one. If you give the enchanter an item, he will enchant it. And yes, I mean any item. He will even enchant the item multiple times somehow. Don't question the enchanter. You can question the business villager though, because if you right click him, he has a business offer for you. The thing is, when you bring him some emeralds, he just tells you he invested them for you and you never get them back. Yeah, I think bro's a scammer. The gift wrapper is just a mob from Minecraft Dungeons, and he can't really do anything though because there is no gifts to wrap. So yeah, he's pretty much useless. He just looks cool and that's it. The mysterious merchant is kind of like the wandering trader, except he will give you a random item for 5 emeralds. He's also scamming like the wandering trader. Why would I give 5 emeralds for an amethyst cluster? You can find the merchant randomly inside of caves, and he doesn't like llamas at all, so he's kind of like the evil wandering trader. The quest giver will give you a random quest if you right click on him. The thing is, he doesn't actually give you anything for finishing the quest though. He just gives you random quests if you're bored. Yo, what the? The geomancer is kind of like the illager of the earth. He's supposed to make rocks come out of the ground, but I'm too dumb to add that, so I just made him spawn random walls. He can also spawn lava under your feet every time you attack him, which is kind of annoying. And he's also immune to explosions and fall damage, which now that I'm thinking of it, the earth is definitely not immune to explosions, so I don't think he should have that ability. The mage is another new type of illager, who this time shoots balls at you that will make you levitate. The mage also walks with a trail of fire underneath him, and if you kill the mage, you can get an uncraftable potion of nothing. My favorite type of potion. This is the bouldering zombie, who as you can see is slightly bigger than a regular zombie. The bouldering zombie also does more melee damage than a regular zombie does, and it can throw rocks at you from longer range as well. So it's just an annoying zombie basically. But it isn't as annoying as the Herobrine zombie, who spawns in and stalks you in caves, is super fast and scary, and also can only be killed using arrows. No swords against Herobrine. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the scary cave noises that he constantly makes. It's this easy to make Minecraft into a horror game. The scarecrow is not scary, despite scare being in the name. No, it's actually just a zombie with a hay bale for a head. You can find a scarecrow hanging out in villages, and that is because the scarecrow is an ally of the villagers, unlike regular zombies. If for some reason you want to kill the scarecrow, it will drop a hay bale upon death, and you can use this hay bale to make another scarecrow if you have 2 blocks of brown wool. I added the classic diamond golem. You can get this guy by placing an iron golem formation, except you use diamonds instead. And once this guy is spawned, you are able to hire him for 1 diamond. After that, you have your own diamond bodyguard that will follow you around anywhere and keep you safe. Next, we have the netherite golem, and spawning him is the same except it's netherite. You can only spawn this guy in the nether, and the difference between him and the diamond golem is you can't tame him. Instead, he just tries to kill you the second he spawns. If you do kill the netherite golem, you only get 1 netherite back, so basically he is useless unless you want to start a golem fighting ring or something. The furnace golem is spawned using furnaces, obviously, and he is probably one of the most useful golems I added. If you right click this guy with an item that needs to be smelted, he will smelt it for you instantly. You can also kill him if you're a hater, and he drops 1 coal block, but you have to be careful while fighting him because he shoots fireballs at you. Well, they don't really work like fireballs, but you get the point. The last golem is the blood golem. The blood golem spawns anywhere around the map at any time, and if you couldn't tell already, he's a boss. This is why. He does 10 hearts no matter what. Even if you have full protection 4 netherite armor, you're still dead. You might try to kill the blood golem with arrows, but you will find that that also doesn't work. The only actual way to kill the blood golem is by using cactuses, so basically you're dead if you run into this guy. Now that we have a bunch of new golems, it's time to add some villagers for them to protect. The golden villager is the first on our list. If you end up finding this guy in your village, you'll notice a golden golden trail coming from behind him. Now, usually a golden trail would be bad, but in this case, it's actually good, because this guy is basically an infinite gold source. You can also right-click him for some gold ingots, punch him for some gold blocks, or kill him for a notch apple if you're feeling evil. I also added the king villager because I figured the village needed a leader. The king villager is also the only villager in the game that will fight you, but of course he only fights if you hit him first. If you kill the king, he drops a king's crown, which when you wear it gives you some pretty good effects. It also covers half your head, but we'll just ignore that part. The next villager is the homeless villager, and you might be wondering why I added a homeless villager, because that's basically what a nitwit is. The difference between them is that this villager can beg for emeralds, and upon giving him emeralds, something happens that you might not expect. I guess we now know how this guy became king. The last villager is the buff villager, who isn't technically a villager. The buff villager is very strong, and as you can see, he also likes to fight everything. If you do kill the buff villager, you get nothing, so honestly I would just stay away from this guy. He isn't worth it. For the next mob, I added some zombies so the villagers and golems can have an enemy. I added 4 zombies, and I started off simple with the Alex zombie. The Alex zombie doesn't do anything special, it's just a regular zombie with an Alex skin. You might also notice that her arms don't go up like an actual zombie. For some reason the custom zombies just don't do that, but honestly it makes them look more scary, so I'm fine with it. The next zombie is the Nether zombie, which is supposed to set you on fire, but just doesn't. This zombie can be found in all the different biomes in the Nether, and upon killing it you get a blaze rod, making him actually pretty useful. He does a lot more damage than a regular zombie though, so I would definitely be careful of this guy. Another zombie you should be careful of is the demon zombie. This guy can spawn anywhere, and he wields 2 netherite swords just to be intimidating. He speeds up whenever he attacks you, and he does a lot of damage, especially with no armor. The demon zombie actually has a lot of health, and every time you hit it, zombies will spawn as backup. If you do manage to go through the pain of killing this guy, he will drop a netherite ingot, so I would say it's definitely worth it to take a fight with him. The last zombie I added is the snow zombie. Obviously found in cold biomes, this guy creates a trail of snow underneath him wherever he walks, and when he attacks you, he will actually throw snowballs at you. Totally an original mob design. If you kill this zombie, you will get some frozen flesh, and upon trying to eat this, you will realize it doesn't work. You actually have to smelt frozen flesh into rotten flesh using a furnace or a furnace golem if you happen to find one. Now that we've made all these mobs, it's time to add some animals, so next I made some cows. I decided to make the first cow just a default cow, except it's black and white. But after that, I added everyone's favorite flower cows. I added the Moolip and the Moobloom, which both can spawn inside of flower forests. If you milk the Moolip, it will give you Moolip milk, and if you milk a Moobloom, you get Moobloom milk. The Moolip milk is beneficial to drink, as it gives you strength and regeneration for 30 seconds, but the Moobloom milk, on the other hand, doesn't really do the same thing. I mean, it's your fault if you drink this anyways. This does not look like something you should drink. The next cow is the evil cow, who likes to hurt you. That's really it. He also drops redstone, which is supposed to be blood, because he's sort of like a blood cow. And then I also added the ghost cow. The ghost cow is one of the most interesting mobs I've added so far, as he's able to fly. Well, he's kinda able to fly, even though this is more like hovering. The ghost cow is also aggressive like the evil cow, but another interesting thing is you are able to ride him. Okay, I still died while riding him. That doesn't make any sense. If you have a ton of golden apples, you are able to ride him, is what I meant to say. If you've been playing Minecraft for a while, you're probably familiar with the blue creeper skin, so I decided to add the blue creeper to the game next. You can find a blue creeper in snow biomes only, and if you kill this guy, he gives you a TNT. He blows up like a normal creeper, except for some reason he has no animation and is also able to move while exploding. I'm honestly not sure how to fix that, but it makes the creepers more dangerous, so it's honestly a good glitch. The cactus creeper is another type of creeper that I added just because it looks funny. Like, imagine walking through a desert biome and then this happens. Since the creeper was made from a messed up pig originally, it only makes sense to be in the game. The pig creeper is insanely fast for some reason, and if you want some of that speed for yourself, you can actually ride the pig creeper just like you can ride a normal pig. Just be careful while riding in survival or this might happen. The skulk creeper can be found in the deep dark, and it infects anything it stands on, kinda like a snow golem but with skulk. If you kill a skulk creeper, all you get is some skulk veins. But this skin is definitely one of the best looking mobs so far, so I still added it. The last creeper is the noob creeper, which is the only creeper that doesn't explode. The noob creeper doesn't really do anything, and it only has half a heart, so it only takes one punch to kill it. He also drops a flower if you kill him. That's it. The chicken has been in the game for a long time, so let's make some chickens next. First, I had to add the best mob of all time, a duck. The duck is impossible to kill in order to prevent duck violence, and if you give it some bread, you can actually hire one of these guys to take out some mobs for you. I also added a dodo bird as another type of chicken. I'm pretty sure I made it so the dodo bird can't do anything at all because apparently they were stupid. So since they do nothing, I decided to make them drop a notch apple if you're you're okay with making them extinct again. The nether chicken spawns in the nether, and he's mainly found in soul sand valleys. If you get in a fight with a nether chicken, you'll find he sets you on fire when he hits you, and after killing a nether chicken, you get nothing. I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen, but I'm leaving it that way. He'll just be annoying. Since there is a nether chicken, I also made an ender chicken, which spawns in the end, but also in the overworld, just like a normal enderman. Ender chickens make the same sounds as endermen, and when you kill one of them, it drops an ender pearl as well. The only difference is the ender chicken doesn't teleport away. He doesn't know how to do that. Next, I added some spiders to the game, and somehow these were some of my favorite mobs. This spider is from Minecraft Dungeons, and it's called a cave spider, so I just named it a cavern spider. It looks kind of like a skulk spider, so I made it spawn in the deep dark. And I also made it give you the darkness effect, just like the warden when it attacks you. The next spider is a toxic spider, which is basically just a cave spider, but it can spawn anywhere. I will say it moves much faster than a cave spider though, which I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm also pretty sure cave spiders don't give poison too, so this guy actually might be a little OP. The Reaper spider is something you don't want to run into, which is why I gave it a boss bar to let you know if it's in your area. The Reaper spider is the same as the toxic spider, except it does more damage, and when it bites you, it gives you all of these effects. The fact that Steve is able to survive a bite from this guy just proves he's built different, because this spider is insane. One of my favorite spiders is the ice spider, which spawns in cold biomes, and instead of potion effects, he just freezes you upon biting you. I also just noticed these spiders do an absurd amount of damage. This guy 3-hit me. The last spider I added is the skeleton spider, and this one is interesting because he acts like a real skeleton. He actually shoots arrows at you. Well, it's more like throwing them at me because they look like this, but that's fine. Now that our game is looking like Australia, I decided to move on to some wardens. First, I added the blood warden. If you hit the blood warden, there's a chance of him spawning a warden to fight for him as backup. And if he hits you, you get teleported to a random area around the warden. Okay, I actually just noticed that his wardens attack him, so maybe this isn't the best design. Anyways, he drops a totem when you kill him, but you're probably not going to be able to do that, at least without the help of the other wardens. A warden you will be able to kill though is the noob warden. The noob warden is similar to the noob creeper, except you can tame him using sculk catalysts. You have to be careful about where you bring your noob warden though, because one hit from anything and he is dead. The last warden and the last mob of the video is probably the best mob I've ever added. It's Shrek. I don't know why I added Shrek, I just saw him and thought it was funny, but basically Shrek spawns in a swamp and he is passive until he finds you in his swamp. Now that we've added all these mobs, the question is, does this make Minecraft better? I don't really know if better is the word, but the game is definitely a lot more interesting with all these new mobs in the game, so I'm going to have to say yes, Minecraft is better. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into popular horror movie characters. First, I'm going to make Pennywise, and we'll make him from a pillager. Let's color his shirt light green. Now let's color his face white, and we'll give him some eyes. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll give him a nose, and we'll give him some hair. Now let's make his forehead bigger, and we'll add the thing around his neck. Now let's extend his sleeves out a bit. Now we'll add the red things on his chest. Now finally let's give him some shoes. And I think that looks really good. Let's see it in game. That actually looks really good, but his face is off by a bit, unfortunately. This guy actually looks really scary. I'm not really liking him pointing his bow at me like this. Let's spawn an army of Pennywises. Okay, why are they all pointing their bows at me? Let's watch these Pennywises attack a villager. I'm sorry, villager. Yeah, they're all gonna kill each other before they kill him. Okay, they finally got him. Okay, they need to stop pointing their bows at me. Let's spawn an iron golem to take care of them. Oh wait, this is not an iron golem. I'm using a spooky texture pack, so I guess they made a pumpkin golem. Oh god, he just took a ton of fall damage. Oh, the iron golem couldn't kill them all. Alright, I'm going to give Pennywise a 10 out of 10. He's literally terrifying. It's time for the next mob. Next, we're going to make Michael Myers. For this one, we'll use a piglin brute. Let's remove all this stuff, and we'll make his head a bit smaller. Now let's color his body blue, and we'll color his head white. Now let's give him some eyes, and we'll give him a mouth as well, and we'll give him some brown hair. Now let's give him a nose, and we'll add a neck to his shirt. Now let's give him a pocket and a belt, and we'll color in his hands. Now finally, let's give him some shoes, and I think we're done. Let's see this in game. Oh, that is not him. Okay, that is much scarier. He's going to turn into a piglin though, so we have to go to the nether. Okay, this is better. Let's spawn a baby Michael. Oh, piglin brutes don't have babies. Let's get chased by Michael Myers. Oh god, he's kind of fast. Okay, we got away. Let's see if Michael Myers can beat Pennywise. Never mind, they both just want to kill me, I guess. Let's spawn more Michael Myerses. And let's see if they can beat the warden. Okay, seriously? They won't fight the warden either? They'll fight me though. Seriously, Pennywise too? I don't even have a weapon. Can't kill me now. Oh god, not the regular piglin. Alright, I'm also going to give Michael Myers a 10 out of 10. He looks really good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Jigsaw. For him, we are going to use a regular piglin. Let's change the shape of his head, and we'll color his body black. Now let's color his head white. Now let's give him some eyes, and we'll draw his mouth. Next, let's give him a nose, and we'll extend his cheeks out a bit, and we'll draw the circles on them. Now let's give him some hair, and we'll extend it out on the sides. Next, let's draw his red bow tie, and finally we'll give him some red shoes. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, he has gold pants. Why is he flexing on me like that? Okay, this actually looks really good. He's definitely not as scary as Pennywise, but he's pretty scary. Let's see a baby Jigsaw. Why is his head in the roof? Let's spawn an army of Jigsaws. I think this guy needs to take off the helmet. I don't think he can see. Let me wear some drips so I blend in with them. What are you looking at? Why do they all want to go over here? Sorry guys, I'm not actually one of you. Oh god, this is bad. Never mind, they don't know how to jump. Alright, I give Jigsaw a 10 out of 10. He looks really good as well. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Ghostface. For this one, we'll use a Vindicator. Let's color his body fully black, and we'll change the shape of his head. Now let's color his head white, and we'll add his eyes, and his nose, and his large mouth. Now let's add his hood over his mask, and we'll make this part look like it's ripped. Now finally, let's extend out his shoes, and I think we're done. Let's see it in game. Finally, we can go back to the overworld. Okay, his mouth is sideways, and there's also some problems with his hood. Let's watch him chase a villager. If I gave him a knife, this would be 10 times better. Rip villager. Is that an orange creeper? Speaking of orange creepers, you should subscribe. We're so close to 300k. Let's spawn an army of ghost faces. And let's see if they can beat the pumpkin golem. Okay, the pumpkin golem literally had no chance. What about 2 pumpkin golems? Okay, Ghostface is just too powerful. I'm going to give Ghostface an 8 out of 10. He's kinda broken. It's time for the next mob. Next, we're going to make Jason. For him, we are going to use a skeleton. Let's make his arms bigger, and we'll do the same for his legs. Now let's color in his head, and we'll extend out his mask. Now let's add some red details to his mask. Now let's give him some brown hair, and we'll color his pants a darker gray, and we'll put his yellow jacket on the outside. Now finally we'll extend out his shoes, and that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, that looks pretty good. His head is a little big though, but I actually like how his mask turned out. Okay, why is there scary chickens? Let's see if Jason can take down a wolf. Okay, he's just running. Maybe it's because we gave him a bow and not a sword. Nope, he still runs with the sword. He runs from the wolf, but he won't run from me. He's getting destroyed even with the other mobs chasing me. Maybe next time he should run from me. But honestly, he looks pretty cool with the sword, I won't lie. Let's spawn an army of Jasons. And let's see if they can beat the pumpkin golem. Oh no, why did they shoot the creeper? Okay, they're literally all just fighting each other. Oh, there's zombies coming in, they have backup. The zombies stole the kill from them, that's embarrassing. Alright, I'm going to give Jason a 9 out of 10. His head was a little big. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Frankenstein. For this one, we're obviously going to use a zombie. Let's make his head a bit bigger, and we'll color his body black. Now let's color his head green, and we'll give him some eyes, and a mouth, and we'll add his red scar on his forehead. Now let's give him some black hair, and we'll give him a couple of ears. Next, let's add the screws coming out of his neck. Now finally, we'll give him some shoes, and I think that looks good. Let's see him in game. Okay, he doesn't look too bad. He kinda just looks like a zombie variant though. Well, I guess that's basically what he is. Let's see a baby Frankenstein. Okay, baby Frankenstein is very fast. Let's see what he looks like with speed 2. Okay, now he won't move. Oh my god, that is way too fast. Let's spawn an army of Frankensteins. Okay, now these are just zombies. He's not special anymore. Let's watch them all try to kill a villager they can't reach. This is Frankenstein IQ. Is Frankenstein supposed to be stupid? I'm not even sure. Alright, I give Frankenstein a 7 out of 10. He looked average. It's time for the next mob. Next, we're going to make Dracula. For this one, let's use a villager. Let's color his body black, and we'll make his head a bit smaller. Now let's color his head, and we'll give him some red eyes. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll add his vampire teeth. Next, let's give him a nose, and we'll add his eyebrows. Now let's give him some hair, and we'll add his cloak. Next, let's give him a white shirt, and we'll give him a red tie. Now finally, let's color in his hands, and I think we're done. Let's see him in game. Okay, there's something wrong with his arms, but other than that, he looks pretty good. I'm sorry, Dracula. Okay, he's already dead. Wait, this Dracula is still running away. If only he could turn into a bat and fly away. Let's see what baby Dracula looks like. Yeah, this looks like a kid in a costume. He's so small. Let's spawn an army of Draculas. Okay, I don't know why I did this. I just wanted to bully them. Surprisingly, they're actually getting away, and the Pennywises are just killing each other. Wait, what is this yellow thing in the tree? Okay, the tree literally has an eye. Alright, I'm going to give Dracula an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we are going to make a mummy, and for this one, we'll use a husk. Let's color his body grayish yellow, and we'll give him some red eyes. Now let's draw a bit of a mask around his eyes, and we'll add different color stripes around his body. Now let's give him some different color hands, and we'll do the same for his feet. I'm actually going to change the first color we added because I don't really like it. And we'll make sure to color the inside of his legs and the inside of his arms. And finally, let's add some detail on his back. And that doesn't look too bad. Let's see it in game. Okay, how did I go from the other mobs to this? I mean, to be fair, there's not much you can do to a mummy. Let's see a baby mummy. I think the baby looks a bit better. I wonder if Minecraft will ever add mummies. They could defend desert pyramids or something. They could add something like this. Okay, maybe with less mummies, but still. Let's spawn a Dracula in here. Oh, he has desert clothes on. I don't know why I did that. That was mean. Who can catch Dracula faster, the mummy or Frankenstein? Apparently neither of them. They are very slow. Oh no, Dracula is stuck. How is he still alive? And the mummies win. I mean, it was a baby, so it wasn't really fair, but whatever. Alright, I'm going to give the mummy a 6 out of 10. Compared to the other mobs, it wasn't that good. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into the entities from Roblox stores. First, we're going to make Seek, and I'm going to use a warden to make him. Let's remove all this stuff, and we'll make his body smaller. Now let's also shrink his legs, and we'll make his arms smaller as well. Now let's shrink his head, and we'll color him fully black. Now let's draw his eye, and we'll expand his face out on the side a little bit. Finally, let's add some red spots on his body, and we'll put a few on his legs. Alright, that looks good. Let's see it in game. We'll just act like I didn't forget to texture the bottom of the head. Honestly, I think this looks pretty good. I think his proportions are kind of off though. Yo, why is he attacking the sheep? What did the sheep do? Let's find Seek in the deep dark. And of course, we'll watch him emerge from the ground. Oh, he's kind of stuck in a block. This would be way more terrifying than the warden. Imagine you're walking around in a cave and then you see this thing chasing you. Let's spawn an army of Seeks. And let's see if they can defeat the Wither. Oh no, they're already surrounding the Wither. Oh my god, the Wither is getting launched. Yeah, the Wither literally has no chance. I don't think the Wither even killed one of them. Alright, I'm going to give Seek an 8 out of 10. He could have been better. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Figure, and I'm going to make him from an Enderman. Let's color him brownish red, and we'll extend his face out a bit, and we'll also extend out the other sides. Now let's give him some teeth, and we'll move them to every side of his mouth. Next, let's color the back of his mouth, and we'll add his white ribs, and let's copy those down 2 more times. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. I'm not going to lie, the particles kind of ruin him. That looks better. Now, if you look in an Enderman's eyes, it will get mad at you, but Seek has no eyes, so what will happen? Okay, the same thing happens. I like how his head is just floating now. Let's go find Figure in the end. Okay, there's a ton of these guys in here. Let's see if Figure can beat Seek. Okay, Figure had no chance. I honestly thought he would teleport away at least. Okay, Seek has to go. Oh god, they're catching up to me. Okay, I see why this guy is scary now. Oh no, I got stuck. I give Figure a 9 out of 10. He turned out pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Screech, and I'm going to use a Guardian to make him. Let's remove his tail, and we'll also remove these orange spikes. Now let's make the body a bit smaller, and we'll color it fully black. Now let's give him a big red mouth, and we'll add some darker lips. Next, let's draw his teeth, and we'll add the black spots oozing down. Now let's add his eyes, and we'll add the squiggly things coming from his body. And I think we're done. Let's see it in game. Oh my god, he's moving really fast. And the way he's bouncing around like this honestly makes him 10 times scarier. Like, what are you doing if you see this thing coming after you? Okay, he's dying. Oh, well, I guess he's in the water now. Honestly, he might be even scarier underwater. Let's spawn an army of Screeches. That looks so weird. And let's see if they can kill me. Wait, what are they all doing to me? This is actually terrifying. Oh god, I'm on half a heart. Yeah, hopefully nothing like this is ever added to the game. I'm going to give Screech a 10 out of 10. He was scary. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Glitch, and I'm going to make him from an iron golem. Let's make his body smaller, and we'll also shrink his legs. Now let's do the same for his arms, and we'll color his body fully black. Now let's add some purple spots around his body, and we'll add some on his arms and legs as well. Now let's add some blue spots too, and we'll also add some yellow spots. And I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, part of his face is not part of his face. But honestly, he's supposed to look glitched out, so I think that's fine. Somehow I actually think this looks pretty good. Let's see if Glitch can beat Screech. Never mind, it looks like Screech didn't want to fight. Let's try this again away from the cave. Okay, that was too easy. And he dropped raw cod. That's kind of weird. Let's see if Glitch can beat Seek. Okay, that was a really unfair fight. Let's spawn 10 glitches and see if they can beat Seek. Okay, they're not doing too bad. Oh, they got him. Only 4 of of them died, surprisingly. Alright, I'm going to give Glitch a 9 out of 10. He looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Rush, and I'm going to use a bee to make him. Let's remove all this stuff, and we'll make his body thinner. Now let's extend his body out a bit, and we'll extend out the sides to make him look circular. And we'll also do this on the top and bottom. Now let's add his dark gray mouth, and we'll add his eyes, and his nose thing. Now let's give him some yellow teeth, and we'll add some teeth on the bottom as well. Now let's add some detail to his face, and we'll make it a bit darker under his teeth, and I think that's good. Let's see it in game. Oh, that is not what we want. Okay, that looks better. Honestly, this might be the scariest mob we've made yet. The way he flies is terrifying. Let's see a baby Rush. Okay, that's not as bad. At least it looks like I could beat this one in a fight. Let's spawn an army of Rushes, and let's see if I can get away from them. Oh god, I'm still on half a heart. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, he's not as scary now that I know how slow he moves. This would still be terrifying if I saw this in the game. Alright, I'm going to give Rush a 10 out of 10. He turned out really good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Jack, and I'm going to make him from a skeleton. Let's color his body fully black, and we'll add his nose, and we'll shape his mouth and eye. Now let's add his teeth. Okay, this doesn't look good. Let's add his nose again, and we'll also draw his mouth. Now let's add his eye, and we'll add some small yellow teeth. And now we'll color the sides of his head half white and half black. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Oh yeah, nighttime. Okay, that's better. Honestly, I don't know whether I like this or not. I feel like the yellow teeth kind of ruin it. Like, it just looks like he hasn't been to the dentist in a while. Let's spawn an army of Jacks, and let's see if the Jack army can beat Glitch. Oh god, they're all shooting each other. Glitch is just down here getting free kills because half of them are fighting. Okay, Glitch basically won. It's up to these 5 Jacks over here who don't seem to be interested in fighting him. Oh, they actually did it. I'm surprised they won that considering half of them killed each other. Alright, I'm going to give Jack an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that good in Minecraft. I added Pokemon to Minecraft. First, I made Lugia. Let's remove his legs, and we'll make his body a lot smaller. Now let's give him a neck. Now finally, let's add the blue parts on his back. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Whoa, he is really big. Okay, I think he actually looks really good. There is one problem with him though. He literally just doesn't move. It makes him look so menacing when he's flying around though. Let's find Lugia in the nether. Oh, there's one literally right there. This is so weird because normally Lugia would be found in the water. I guess this is a special Lugia then. Let's spawn an army of Lugias. It's hard to spawn them because they're so big. Okay, I think there's a few too many Lugias around here. Let's catch a Lugia and a Pokeball. I don't think it's working. What about a Master Ball? Nope, still won't work. Alright, I'm going to give Lugia a 7 out of 10. He can't move. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Quaxly. Let's move his body. Next, let's color him white, and we'll color his beak yellow, and we'll give him some eyes, and I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Okay, something is wrong with his arms. Okay, that only made the problem worse. Okay, I don't know how to fix this. This is good enough. Alright, his head moves really weird as well, but other than that, I think he looks fine. Okay, I'm lying. It's definitely not fine. Let's spawn a baby Quaxly. Okay, this is even worse. What is wrong with his head? I'm getting rid of this one. Let's see if I can catch Quaxly in a Pokeball. Okay, this joke really isn't funny. Let's spawn a Quaxly army, and let's have them all follow me. I finally have my own duck army. Subscribe to join the duck army. Alright, I'm going to give Quaxly a 5 out of 10. I like him, but he's too broken. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Magikarp. Let's make his body smaller, and we'll color him orange. Now let's color in his fins, and we'll color his back fin white. Now let's give him some eyes, and that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, I should probably spawn him in water. Honestly, I'm surprised with how this turned out. He looks really good. Let's spawn a Magikarp army. Is there a baby salmon? No, there isn't. I wonder if these guys will fight an Axolotl. No, but the Axolotl will fight them. Let's try to grow him into a Gyarados. Okay, this isn't working. I guess Magikarp is boring in Minecraft as well. I almost forgot the Pokeball test. This doesn't even make sense. How am I throwing snowballs in water? Alright, I'm going to give Magikarp an 8 out of 10. He looks good, but he's boring. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Charizard. Let's color his body fully orange, and we'll turn these spikes into his ears. Now let's color his head orange, and we'll make his mouth light red. Now let's give him some teeth, and we'll also add his eyes. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Although I have no idea why he has 2 tails. He didn't even have a tail in Blockbench. Also, his neck looks different as well. That's so weird. Let's see if we can catch Charizard in a Pokeball. Alright, it's not working. Charizard is probably more of a Master Ball type anyway. Okay, Charizard is perching. Just imagine he's breathing fire right now. Alright, I'm going to give Charizard an 8 out of 10. I think he looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Mew. Let's remove the legs, and we'll add a head. Now let's color the head and body body pink, and we'll add his legs. Now let's add his arms, and we'll rotate his arms and legs a little bit, and I think that turned out pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, that doesn't actually look bad, but the eyes are off center somehow. Out of all the Pokemon I've made, Mew definitely looks the best. The sounds he makes is really weird though. Let's see a baby Mew. Oh my god, it's literally so small. This is probably an accurate size for a bee though. Let's spawn an army of Mews. Okay, the sound has gotten way worse. What if I attack a Mew? Oh god, this is not good. The sound has gotten even worse now. It sounds like a tiny airplane trying to take off. Alright, I give Mew an 8 out of 10. It turned out pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Charmander. Let's delete his back legs, and we'll change his body shape a bit. Now let's make his mouth look open, and we'll color the back of his mouth pink. Now let's give him some eyes, and we'll give him a couple nostrils as well. Okay, that looks kind of weird. Let's see it in game. Okay, this just doesn't look like Charmander. I think this is the Digimon version, honestly. He looks kind of like the car insurance guy. And of course, the texture is broken in random places. Let's see a baby Charmander. I don't know why I always try to spawn a baby creeper. Let's spawn a Charmander army. Now let's see if Charmander can defeat an enemy Squirtle. Wow, this fight is amazing. Pokeball test. Nope. Let's see the supercharged Charmander. How is he burning? He's literally a fire Pokemon. This is probably the best the charge has looked on any custom creeper. Charmander, use self-destruct. Oh no, he killed the other charged creeper. Wait, that dropped a creeper head though. Alright, I give Charmander a 6 out of 10. He looks kind of strange. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Squirtle. Let's color his head and arm thingies blue, and we'll also color his legs. Now we'll add a white outline around the shell, and I'll trace over the shell with different shades of brown. Alright, just one more color left. That looks pretty good. Now we'll make his head a bit bigger, and we'll give him some purple eyes, and we'll add white to the outside. Next, let's give him some tiny eyebrows, and we'll give him a smile that doesn't look weird at all. Now let's make his spirally tail, and that looks good. Let's see him in game. Okay, let me know if you guys see the problem. It's kind of hard to spot. I don't really know how this happened, so I guess we'll just ignore that. But other than that, he looks fine. How does the baby look? I was hoping the baby was the size of a regular Squirtle because this guy is clearly too big. Alright, Squirtle army. Okay, I have to fix the floating thing. Okay, that looks a lot better. Squirtle, use Bubble Beam, or whatever move he has. Oh wait, I have to catch him first. Nope, the Pokeballs still don't work. I wish I had made him smaller because right now he's bigger than Blastoise. Alright, I give Squirtle a 6 out of 10. He just doesn't look that good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Psyduck. Alright, let's delete all this, and we'll just get rid of his eyes as well. Now let's try to shape this into a duck, and we'll color it all in yellow. Now let's give him duck feet, and we'll color them a lightish yellow. Now we can give him a beak, and we'll color this the same color as his feet. Now we can add some little arms on each side, and we'll make his lizard-like tail. Now we can add the black tufts of hair to the top of his head, and we'll give him some eyes. Alright, that doesn't look terrible. Let's see it in game. Oh my god. That actually looks good, other than the walking animation. Okay, that might not be normal. To be fair, the walking animation would kind of fit him if it wasn't broken. Let's see a baby frog. Oh yeah, that's a tadpole. Let's see Psyduck eat a slime. Okay, the slime probably has to be smaller. Oh my god, that is so cursed. Isn't this an achievement or something? Oh, I give Psyduck a 6 out of 10. He's just too cursed. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Pikachu. Let's color him fully yellow, and we'll make his nose black. Now let's add his eyes, and we'll give him his red cheeks and a little pink mouth. Now let's shrink his ears a bit, and we'll color the top of them black. And now we can add his lightning bolt tail, and we'll move this there. That shape looks pretty good. Now we just need to color it in. And we'll make sure the bottom of his tail is brown. That looks good. Let's see it in game. Okay, he actually turned out pretty good. Look at the baby one. Look how small he is. Pokeball test. Why does it never work? Pikachu army. One fox could ruin it all. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Oh, what is he doing right now? I just can't believe how small the baby Pikachu is. It's like a mouse. I give Pikachu a 10 out of 10. I mean, how could you not? It's time for the next mob. Next I made Snorlax. Let's color him in greenish blue first. Now we'll change the shape of his ears. Let's make his face whitish. And we'll do the same for his belly. Now we can add his sleeping eyes, and we'll give him a smile, with a couple of teeth. Now we can color his legs the same color as his face, and we'll add little brown circles to them as well. And now finally we can give him some claws, and we'll color them white. I think that looks decent. Let's see it in the game. Yo, that actually looks pretty cool. And baby Snorlax? Yo, he's doing a roll. Ignore the missing texture on his head. Let's give them some bamboo. Apparently the small ones don't eat it. I don't know what you're talking about. The head is fine. I'm pretty sure Snorlax is supposed to be sleeping. We have to do a Pokeball test. Nope. Alright, I give Snorlax an 8 out of 10. It would be a 10 if he could sleep. Time for the next mob. Next I made Gengar. Let's delete his body and back legs. and we'll move his head down. Now let's color him light purple, and we'll add some tiny arms on the side. Now let's add the spiky parts on his head, and we'll give him some red eyes. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll give him some angry eyebrows. And finally, let's give him some pupils. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Okay, I don't know if that looks good or bad. I have no idea why his face is off center. Oh god, why does his head move like that when he's walking? Let's see if Ash can catch Gengar. Okay, I don't think he's interested. Let's see if I can catch Gengar. Nope, it's still not working. Let's spawn an army of Gengars. Okay, now Ash is interested in the Gengars. Let's see a supercharged Gengar. Oh god, they're all on fire. I don't know why I keep doing this. It never works. Let's see if Gengar can kill Ash. Yeah, I don't think that's what happens in the show. Alright, I give Gengar a 6 out of 10. I don't know why his face isn't centered. This is a tropical fish being burned alive, and this is an edible wiener dog. I put every Minecraft item through Google Translate way more times than you were supposed to, and then I made whatever result it gave me. I started with some of the most OP items in the game, netherite armor and tools. I don't know who Nesertic is. I drew some flames over the sword, and then I colored it red. This sword looks cool, but I have no idea what it has to do with Nesertic. Next I did the pickaxe. Take the nurses. That's weird. I didn't really know what to do for this one, so I just drew one of those nurse helmets they wear. I'm kinda confused how this hat is able to mine through stone. Next I made a shovel and I got Bill Natry, but I don't know who Bill Natry is, so I just decided to draw Bill because nothing comes up when you search Bill Natry. For a netherite axe I got low credit, so I drew a credit card, and I actually thought this one looked pretty good considering it's 16x. This must be Mr. Beast's credit card, it's very powerful. For the hoe I got anchor stone, so I drew one of those anchors that they use on boats. I don't think I needed to say that, I don't know what other type of anchors there are. Next I did some netherite armor, Veil of the Nethers. I tried to make a veil out of the same colors as the helmet, but it kinda looks like a giant netherite nose. For the chest plate I got under the skin. I don't know how to make organs, so I just colored it blue because that's the same color as Steve's shirt and it said skin in the translate. Next I made pants and I got a single platform, so I drew a YouTube logo because YouTube is the platform this video is on. If you're not watching this video on YouTube, I will be reporting you to the police immediately. The last netherite item is boots, and I got a shoe that doesn't fit. I just drew a really big shoe that obviously doesn't fit. This is all the netherite armor in game. Honestly, this is kinda drip, especially the nose helmet. Now it's time to translate some random items. Spectrum index. I don't know what that means, so I just colored the arrow rainbow because that's a spectrum. Next I did a tipped arrow. Diagonal axis. Apparently this is a diagonal axis. I don't know what the colors in the background are for. For a glass bottle I got glass, so I tried to make a glass texture. It didn't look that good. And for a fermented spider eye I got broken eyes, so I just cut the spider eye in half. This spider won't be seeing anytime soon. The eye is already removed, it has nothing to do with him. Next I did a blaze powder. Okay, we got dust map. I drew a map and then I put a bunch of dust on top of it. This kind of looks like a saltine cracker with some weird gray stuff on top of it. For a glistering melon I got candlelight, so I drew a candle and it kind of looked like Ferb's nose. And for a clock I got view, so I drew a window with an epic view on the other side of it. Okay, it doesn't look that great, but the view I'm imagining looks a lot better. Next I did a phantom membrane and I got It's a Good Movie. Shrek is a good movie, so I copy pasted a picture of Shrek's face on top of it. Next I did both a splash potion and a lingering potion. For the splash potion I got the medicine is finished, so I drew one of those bottles that they put pills in. And for the lingering potion I got strong plants, so I drew a plant and put 2 arms flexing coming out of the sides. I think this is my worst drawing yet. This looks terrible. Now it's time to do some other types of armor. First I did a leather helmet and I got a leather hat, which is pretty much what it is, so I made this brim to distinguish it from a helmet. I don't know how to add the brim in game, so I just did this. Next I made a chest plate and got leather jacket. I cut some space in the middle, added some sleeves on the side, and then I colored the jacket darker. This would actually look pretty cool as an item in Minecraft. Not sure about when you wear it though. For the leather pants I got his pants fell down, so I drew a man with his pants all the way down to his legs. And to finish the leather set I got leather shoes, so instead of just making shoes, I decided to turn the leather boots into rocket shoes, which are much less boring than regular shoes. I also did the gold armor set. First I made the gold helmet as a top hat, then I made the chest plate as a chest full of gold. Next I made the pants as Polish gold, and then I made the boots as just regular shoes. I don't know why the boots always translate to shoes, it's very annoying. I also made both of these sets of armor as a model. Don't look at the leather weather set, my pants are down. Because we did gold armor, it's time to do some gold tools. To sleep. I drew some Z's on the side of the pickaxe to make it look like it's asleep. Next, let's do the axe. Golden axe. Since the word axe is smaller than axe, I decided to make a little tiny axe. This looks like something from one of those mods where they make everything really complicated. For the golden shovel, I got golden cave, so I drew a dark, scary cave and put a bunch of spots of gold all over the walls. For a golden sword, I got a golden sword. That's what I just said. And since the translate added an A in front, I decided to make a sword shaped into an A. This is the new Alphabet Lore Minecraft mod. The final golden tool is the hoe, which I translated to a gold rose, and then I started making some stone tools. The stone axe would not stop translating to stone axe. Why is the translate actually working for once? So I made a battle axe because I can only do a certain amount of translates each day before Google bans me. The stone shovel became a stone face, so I tried to make Squidward's house. This was actually pretty accurate for not looking at the picture. It also kind of looks like this guy. I translated a stone sword and it gave me a stone knife, so I just, yeah. And then for a stone pickaxe, I got he picked me up, so I drew a man picking up a tiny man. I take back what I said earlier, this is the worst drawing I've ever made. The last stone tool is a hoe, which translated to the scale. I drew one of those scales that people use to see their weight, and I think your mom stepped on the scale. I'm sorry to any moms listening. For the next category, I did a bunch of boring items, so I'm going to speedrun those real quick. This is melon seeds as a pumpkin on a tree. This is a spawn egg with permission. This is a book and quill as paper and brush. This is a map as on the other hand. And this is a fireworks star as to sleep again. I don't know why I keep getting to sleep as a translate. For the prismarine shard, I got the heart as like a prism, so I made the shard into a heart shape. And for the prismarine crystal, I got glasses are important, so I drew a pair of glasses. I think I made the nose part a little too big. These would only fit the nose helmet. A couple other items I did was the popped chorus fruit as don't let it happen, the beetroot seeds as a carrot, and the shulker shell as a really bad version of the Minecraft logo. But one of the most interesting items I translated was the banner pattern. Okay, we got science of love. I drew a heart in the middle and then I added a science code around it. This actually just looks really weird. I don't think it's that interesting. I also made the nautilus shell as the end and a disc fragment as the entire earth. Ignore the placement of the continents. This is definitely an accurate earth. Everybody knows that food is the most important meal of the day, so next I translated some foods. Okay, we got age. I gave the rabbit a gray beard, a monocle, and a walking stick to make it look old. Next I did cooked rabbit. Cook the rabbit meat. The rabbit meat is already cooked, so I put a fire underneath to double cook it. Hopefully it's safe to eat a campfire and a metal rod. For glowberries, I got they have fresh fruit, so I drew a person and made them hold the glowberries so they had fresh fruit. And after that I translated sweet berries and got it is a sweet fruit. So I made a strawberry because those are very sweet. I probably could have just left it as sweet berries, it kind of says it in the name. For raw mutton I got to cook, so I drew an oven with what is supposed to be mutton inside of it. It kind of looks like the mutton is a tongue and the buttons are eyes. Next I did cooked mutton and got delicious food, so I decided to draw my favorite food. Man, I love eating these. Comment if this is your favorite food too. There are a lot of foods in Minecraft, so I decided to speedrun the next few. I turned raw cod into a person shoveling transparency outside of their house, and then I made raw salmon into the old Minecraft fish. I made a tropical fish into a burning hot fish. I'm not sure how it's on fire if it belongs in the water. And then I made a puffer fish into 2 puffer fishes. Next I made a potato and I got potatoes, so I just put more potatoes behind it. And then for a baked potato I got to be easy, so I colored it green because green is the color for easy. I probably wouldn't eat the green potato, there's definitely something wrong with it. Next I made a beetroot. Okay, we got black paper. I just used the regular paper texture and then I turned it black. For dry kelp I got these words, which translates to a small dog, so I decided to draw a little wiener dog. This is definitely not what they meant by hot dog. There's still so many foods to go, so I did a few more, like this raw beef as a club from the cards, this cooked cod as a Wi-Fi symbol, this cooked salmon as... I don't really know what this is actually, and this rabbit stew as rabbit juice. But it's time to move on from foods and do the rest of them later, so let's do some chain armor instead. Helmet chain. That's what this is supposed to be. It's a helmet chain. Next I did the chest plate. Heart grinder. I drew some spikes on the top and then I struggled to draw a heart underneath. I don't know why anyone would want to wear a heart grinder on their chest plate. That sounds dangerous. For leggings I got porcelain leggings, so I tried to make one of those porcelain patterns on the pants. And for the chain boots I got shoes and chains. It looks like these guys aren't getting out of jail anytime soon. This is a wood axe with a pause sign over it because it translated to wait. And this is a wood hoe with a mouth and some eyes because it translated to let's talk. I wonder what the wood hoe has to say. For a wood sword it just kept translating to a wooden sword, so I just left it as a wood sword. And for a wooden shovel I got work, so I drew a person with a construction vest and helmet and gave them some type of shovel thing. Now I can hire somebody to do my shoveling for me. It probably hurts though. There are still over 100 items left to translate, so I started doing more random items next. Bicycle. I drew what is supposed to be a bicycle. I can't tell if this drawing is really good or really bad. I'm going to go with bad. I don't know where the handlebars are. For a recovery compass, I got Innovation Campus. I drew a picture of what I think is a school. I'm not really sure. I dropped out. Don't do that, by the way, kids. I don't want any parents telling me you dropped out of school. I translated a turtle egg and got I'm sick, so I turned the turtle egg green to make it look sick. And then I made a warped fungus on a stick and got mushrooms grow on trees. So I drew a tree and then I added some red and brown spots to look like mushrooms in a tree. Weird how I'm able to use a tree to control a strider. I made a scoot as a book with a turtle skin cover, and then I made bricks as cream, and then I tried to make a brain out of clay, and I also turned paper into the letter A. This kind of reminds me of something from another video. I'm not sure what. For glowstone dust, I got city, so I added some sky, drew a bunch of buildings, and then I put some yellow windows on them. I wonder if this city is powered by glowstone. Next, I made an ink sac and a glow ink sac. For the ink sac, I got I hid, so I drew somebody hiding behind a desk, and then for the glowing sac, I got a long black bag, so I made a long black bag with a golden handle on the top. Now it's time to translate every dye. I'm actually too lazy to do that, so I only translated purple, and it gave me except this. I decided to color the purple dye every dye color in the game except for purple. See that? Now I killed every bird with one stone. You can't really tell which color is which though. For cocoa beans, I got soon, so I made a picture from a video that I'm making soon. You can't really tell what's going on. It's a little undetailed. And for pumpkin seeds, I got clock, so I drew a very bad clock. Just ignore the dots that are supposed to be numbers. There are definitely 12 and they are all in the right spot. Now it's time for me to translate some diamond armor. Head. Yeah, that's where the helmet goes. I ended up drawing a messed up looking face, and for the actual helmet, I copied it on the front and added some hair on all the other sides. Honestly, I think this helmet looks really good. There is nothing wrong with it. Next, let's do a chest plate. I don't know why it keeps giving me body parts. I decided to just draw an arm because that's what it said. I then copied the arm over top of the chest plate and made absolutely no effort to make it fit. Even though I did that, I somehow got the arms in the right place. Not really sure why they're so big though. Next, I made the leggings and I got rubber. I could have colored the pants rubber color, but instead I turned it into a rubber duck because I'm a duck. I then drew a duck's face in a questionable area of the pants and colored the rest yellow. These are the pants in game. Let me know if you would cop. For the boots, I got boat, so I literally just copy pasted a boat on top of the boots. I then made the actual boots boat colored. This is probably the most normal piece of armor I made, even though it shows up as a boat in my inventory. The shield is kind of armor, so I translated the shield. This is a mystery. Because it's a mystery, I just deleted the shield texture completely. It turns out you can't delete textures though, and it just made the shield all black. Alright, now that I've made the shield, I have a full armor set. Guys, let me know if you would wear this. Next, I'm going to be translating some ores. I am a tree. I drew a tree body and added some leaves on top, and then I gave it a smiley face because the tree is alive. Next, I translated an emerald. Monaghan? I don't know what that is. Apparently, Monaghan is a place in Ireland, so I drew a 4-leaf clover because that's Irish or something. Guys, never let me draw a clover again. For iron, I got iron pot, so I just drew a pot, which basically looks like a big bucket, so I added some handles on the side so you can tell the difference. Next, I made gold, and I got turned down. I didn't know what to do for this one, so I just made a road sign, but put a down arrow instead. I don't know what roads you can turn down on, but that's not my problem. Next, I translated a netherite ingot, which isn't technically an ore, but it's an ingot, so whatever. I got bad netherite, so I gave it an arm holding a knife with an unspecified red liquid on it, and then I gave him 2 angry eyes with an upside down smile. After that, I decided to start a hardcore series. Okay guys, so I did some mining off camera. Now I think it's time to build a house. Yo, edit this part out. Alright, now that the house is done, we're going to build a giant ring of biomes around it. I also translated some other ores, so here are those quickly. This is a copper ingot as a suitcase. This is redstone as blackstone. This is lapis as onyx stone. Okay, I think I made the wrong type of onyx. This is Japanese coal. And finally, this is amethyst as a person. Also, I know amethyst isn't an ore, I just thought it fit here. Now that we've translated some ores, we need something to mine them with, so let's make some tools. Okay, we got certify. I decided to draw one of those certificates that they give out at school for good grades or something, and then I added this line, which is the text, and I put one of those sticker things in the corner. It kinda looks like I'm holding a hammer. Honestly, I'm surprised my pickaxe still works now that it's made out of paper. Next, I did the sword. Okay, we got sword, but big. For this one, I decided to make a really fat sword because I didn't really know what else to do. Guys, rate my sword from 1 to 10. You'd think it would do more damage because it's bigger. I give it a 0. Next, I translated the axe, and it just translated to ah. For this one, I wanted to make the axe yelling, so I added a mouth on the front, and then I gave the axe a large tongue, and finally I gave it an eye, which has nothing to do with yelling, I just wanted to do it. I can understand why the axe is yelling. I would be too if someone kept slamming me against a tree. For the shovel, I got spade, and a shovel is a spade, so I made the thing from the cards instead. Okay, this looks terrible. Instead of adding it to the top of the shovel, I just drew the spade instead, and it ended up looking much better. This thing would actually look kind of cool if it was a weapon, but it's just a shovel, so it's useless to me. Next, I translated the hoe. Okay, I got Adam's hat. Who is Adam? I looked up Adam's hat and found someone wearing a yellow hat, so I tried to make a yellow hat, but it was hard because tools are usually made sideways. The only reason this looks like a hat is because I know it's a hat. I am also not Adam, so I have to throw this away. I'm not allowed to have it. Next, I made some things that are technically tools. For the bow, I got plastic bags, so I made a plastic bag. That's it. Next, I did a crossbow and it said rainbow, so I added a rainbow gradient over the crossbow 5 times for all the phases. The crossbow looked normal when I shot it, but I can't say the same for the regular bow. For flint and steel, I got stone and iron, and that is basically what flint and steel is, so I decided to replace the flint with a stone block and the steel with an iron ingot to literally make it stone and iron. For shears, I ended up getting therefore. I didn't know what to do for this, so I just turned the shears into a mouth and gave it a tongue and one angry eye. The reason I did this was because people might say therefore in an argument, so he's meant to look like he's arguing. Now for the final tool, I made a fishing rod and I got Medan? I couldn't figure out what Maidan meant, so I looked it up and saw this picture from a restaurant, so I decided to make the plate with the food on it. I even made it so when I cast the fishing rod, the plate empties. Isn't that cool? For the next category, we're going to be translating some foods. First, I did steak and I got meat. I'm pretty sure steak is meat, so I decided to color it a weird color and add a question mark so it's mystery meat instead. Would you eat this? It kinda just looks like bread with a question mark. Next, I translated an apple and I got lake. I added a big pool of water and then I drew this boat with a big red flag in the middle. I will not be taste testing this one because my mom told me not to drink the lake water when I was younger. For chicken, I got you cannot, so I just put a big red X over the chicken, meaning I can no longer eat it. Next, I translated bread, and I got a piece of bread, so I turned it into a slice of bread and put a nice patch of butter in the top corner. For cake, I got pockets, so I made the cake into the shape of pants, and then I gave it 2 pockets. I kinda forgot that cake is a block, so really the only one I can eat is a slice of bread. It tastes really good. The yellow part really gives it flavor. Next, I made a cookie and I got dirt, so I just cut the shape of a cookie out of dirt. My mom also told me not to eat dirt, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's in the shape of a cookie. For the golden carrot, I got a golden beginning, so I made a certificate again because that was the first thing I made in this video. Now for the final food item, I translated the golden apple. Okay, we got liver. I decided to just draw a liver, which is somehow the most normal food out of all of these. Alright, liver taste test. In-game, not actually. I would never eat that. Wow, it actually gives me a lot of potion effects. Maybe the Liver King was right. Alright, now that I've done some foods, it's time to translate a bunch of random items. The first item is the totem, which translated to down the totem pole. For this one, I just made a totem pole, which was kind of hard to do when it's this small. But it doesn't look that bad when you hold it or when you die, so that's cool. Next, I translated the ender pearl, and I got a Japanese word which translated to shell. It turns out I have no idea how to draw a shell, and I'm not even sure if I got the color right because I was thinking of the gas station. For the Eye of Ender, I got I do not know, so I cut the shape of a question mark out of the original texture. This is how it looks when I throw both of these, if you wanted to know. For egg, I got in bed, so I drew a red Minecraft bed around the egg as if it was sleeping. This kind of looks like one of those egg drop projects, so let's see if it works. Nope, the egg still broke. Next, I made a snowball and I got viburnum, which apparently is a plant that looks like this. I drew some leaves around it and then turned it yellow to match the little white things on the plant. Next, I made an arrow and it didn't seem too happy with me, so I just drew an angry face. For a bucket, it translated to 2 with a quotation mark, which sounds the same as the number, so I copy-pasted another bucket beside it so there was 2 buckets. Next, I made the water bucket and I got a glass of water, so I drew a wine glass around the water and added a little spill on top because it was overflowing. Finally, I translated a lava bucket and got rooms, so I decided to make a 2D picture of the back rooms. Placing the back rooms on the ground and having it turn into 2 buckets looks quite interesting, but honestly I kind of like the back rooms art. Not the buckets though, this sucks. For the next category, I decided to make some items that come from the nether in the end. First, I translated nether wart. Okay. I don't know who was released, but it doesn't sound good, so I drew some iron bars around the nether wart and made the ones in the middle look like they were broken and the nether wart is escaping. Next I made a blaze rod and got this. I decided to make a night sky with some thumbnail colored grass in the bottom, and then I added some stars, and finally I added the sun instead of the moon. For the gas tier I got there is nothing wrong with yelling. Why are these so scary all of a sudden? I drew a man with an exclamation mark coming out of his mouth to show that he's yelling, and then I put a green check mark over it showing that it's okay. Next I made a potion and got house or tent. It's nice that it's giving me options. I decided to just make a little house, and I gave it a door with 2 windows which looked like eyes and a mouth. Great, now you can't tell what any of the potions are without reading them. Also, I like how the man yelling is in the top left. It's a true work of art. I made a few more nether items but don't feel like showing them, so here's a nether brick as a name tag with a cool and original name on it. Here's a netherite scrap as low sodium. Next we have quartz as a low res emoji holding up a thank you heart. And finally we have a fire charge pointing at you. Now that we've done the nether, it's time to do the end, and there aren't that many items in the end, so first I made a chorus fruit. Okay, I'm gonna re-roll that one. That's better. I didn't know what to do for this, so I just colored it purple because product color, I guess. Next I made an elytra and got little wing. For this one I just made one of the wings smaller, and I made both of them small on the model because it turns out you can't edit the wings separately. Next I did dragon's breath and I got this is a dangerous city. Apparently Tijuana is the most dangerous city in the world, so I'm going to draw a picture of it. First I added a road in the bottom corner, and then I added this arch and a couple of palm trees. After that I added some buildings behind them, and finally I added some water and some sky in the sky. Next I made some items you find when you make a new world. Okay, we got I will plan. I made the stick smaller, drew a piece of paper, and then I added this arm to make it look like it's writing a plan. I thought it would look better in game, but it doesn't. If you spawn near an ocean, you usually make a boat, so let's do a boat. My car. I don't have a car, so I decided to make my dream car instead. I drew the body, added a spot for the window, and then I gave him his eyes, added some yellow spots, and finally I drew his tires. Ka-chow. That was him, not me. In a new world, you usually steal wheat from villagers, so I translated wheat. I don't know what that is. Apparently that word means health research, so I drew a heart. Next I did a carrot. I got go to school, so I drew a picture of someone's mom yelling at them to go to school. This part is supposed to be an arm, by the way. Also, I am eating someone's mom. Books are usually found in villages, so I translated a book. Okay, we got 2 reduce. They always tell you to reduce, reuse, and recycle, so for this one I decided to draw the recycling sign. Okay, maybe I should have done something else. What is this? For seeds I got the enemy, and the enemy of seeds is probably fire, so I drew some fire. Actually, it doesn't seem to be burning them, so I guess it's fine. Never mind, that was the wrong fire. I also ended up making raw chicken, and I got chicken, so I just drew a real chicken. And then I made a sapling and I got frog, so I drew a bright green frog. I didn't know this is what they meant when I ordered the full chicken. Also, this is the new sapling. Hopefully it's not poisonous. For the next category, I made some tools. Okay, we got the knife. All I did was make the sword smaller, turning it into a knife. It's funny because this pack now has the biggest sword and the smallest sword. Now let's make the pickaxe. The chicken is ready. I already made a chicken for raw chicken, so I tried to turn the pickaxe into a chicken. I drew a beak, added the red thing which I think is called the goiter, and then I gave it some eyes and colored it white. Finally I drew some wings, and then I gave it some goofy looking feet. Who knew that chickens were so good for mining? Whoops, I burned the diamonds. Next I made the axe. I got X as a binary number, so I drew a light pink X, and then I gave it some things on the top, and finally I added his face. It's alphabet lore letter X if you couldn't tell. For shovel I got iron rings, so I turned the top part of the shovel into a ring like this. I'm pretty sure this defeats the purpose of a shovel because all the dirt would just go through the hole, but whatever. Now let's make the hoe. Okay, we got steel shoes. I copy pasted iron boots on top of the hoe, and then I changed them a little bit to make them look cool. I also made a couple things that are technically tools. Here's the trident as a ship, here's the spyglass as me, and for the carrot on a stick I got remembered, so I made a subscribe button in case you forgot to subscribe. The pig is literally chasing me to do it, you have to. Now it's time to make some random items. Listen to the recording. Okay then. Next, let's do the heart of the sea. Then I walked. I drew some legs under the heart of the sea, and then I gave it some red shoes to make it look like it's walking. Next, I did a goat horn, and I got this is not the end. I drew some end stone, then I added some end pillars, and finally I filled in the sky and added a big red X over it because this is not the end. Next, let's do the echo shard. This is salt. I drew a Ziploc bag and filled it with what is obviously salt, just like what it says. Wait, why are the cops outside? What did I do? I did a honeycomb and got there was no one there, so I added a floor and a wall, drew a table, and then I put this banner thing and added some confetti. This is a picture of one of my birthday parties when I was a kid. Next I made horse armor and I got search now. I decided to just draw the search thing that shows up on Google, but it doesn't really look like it. For the nether star I got not life, and the opposite of life is death, so I drew the Grim Reaper because he is death. This is supposed to be the scythe if you couldn't tell. For firework rockets I got a sign, so I drew a brown stick, added a wooden sign, and then I put some black lines on it which is supposed to be text. I also had to check if a sign shot up in the air, and I'm happy to say that it does. I made sugar and I got along the Sawyer River. Apparently this is the Sawyer River, so I drew some water, then I added some trees, and finally I added some sky in the sky. Do you think this looks like the picture? I don't. Next I made a minecart. His name is Football. That's kind of a weird name. I drew a football and gave him a face because he's alive. I also don't really know how to model this one in game, so here you go. For a saddle, I got Wiedza Janotsky. Apparently this means knowledge and skills, so I made a light bulb because that is usually associated with knowledge. It's funny because I know that. Okay, it really isn't. Now that I finished making random items, it's time to make some armor. Metal shoes. Iron boots are already metal shoes, so I just made them a bit darker so they don't look like iron. Next, let's do the pants. Okay, we got iron bones. I drew some white bones over top of the pants, and then I added some darker ones in the back to give it some detail. Next, I made a chest plate. We got creates a sample. For this one, I wanted to make a Costco sample, so I drew a plate in the middle, and then I drew some mystery orange food on top of it. Unfortunately, I got caught lacking though, and the sample was actually a Burger King hot dog. For the helmet, I got a metal box, so I made the helmet into the shape of a box, and then I added a line in the middle to make it look like a chest. This is what each individual armor piece looks like in game, and this is all of them together. Let me know which one looks worse, the iron armor or the diamond. Now it's time to make some food items. First, we'll make a pork chop. I got country, so I drew a Canadian flag because I'm from Canada. We'll just ignore the maple leaf, it looks fine. Next, I made mushroom soup. Okay, we got mushroom juice. I drew a white juice box, added a yellow straw at the top, and then I drew a picture of a mushroom in the middle. I don't know who would drink mushroom juice, but do what you want, I guess. Since I made soup, I decided to make a bowl, and I got It Suits You, so I drew a black suit, and then I added a red tie on the front. Because I made the bowl, it looks like I have to drink the mushroom juice now. Now it's time to make a honey bottle. Pots with honey. I made a big pot and filled it with honey, and then I made it drip a little bit on the side. Next, I made pumpkin pie, and I got a pumpkin, so I drew a pumpkin, that's it. For rotten flesh, I got a bad feeling, so I decided to make my own custom emoji. I added some eyes and some eyebrows, and then I made a weird looking mouth. After that, I decided to make the emoji look more green instead, and then I added some red cheeks for detail. This emoji looks really weird, so I wouldn't eat it. It's also rotten flesh, so I wouldn't eat it anyway. Next, I made a spider eye, and I got spiders, so I just made a spider. Would you rather eat a whole spider or a spider-sized spider eye? I hope neither of them poison you in real life. For melon slice, I got melon colors, so yeah. Next, I made a poisonous potato, and I got they poison the potatoes. I made the potatoes smaller, and then I drew someone in an astronaut suit, which is supposed to be a hazmat suit, and then I made them poisoning a potato. Milk is kind of a food, so I translated milk. I got a glass of milk, so I drew a blue glass, filled it with milk, and then I made it overflowing on the side because I always do that. Because I did the milk bucket, I decided to translate some other buckets as well. Here is powdered snow as touching grass. Here is a pufferfish bucket as a glass of water. This is a salmon bucket as salmon cake. And this is a tropical fish bucket as food and fish. The thing on the bottom is food, if that's unclear. The next bucket I did was a cod bucket, and I got promise. I heard you promise to press the subscribe button, so I made the subscribe. Next, I made the axolotl bucket as gold fishing, and this is the tadpole bucket as candy corn. Now it's time to make some cave things. First, let's do raw iron. Will be discussed. Period. I drew a face with a mouth open and a tongue to show they are discussing something. After that, I added a weird looking eye. Minecraft really changed the caving experience in 1.20. I am burning realistic Pac-Man right now, this is crazy. Next, I made raw copper and I got every time. I drew a clock and then tried to make it pointing at every hour, but that was impossible to do in 16x, so it kinda looks like some kind of anime item. Next, I did raw gold and got good news. I drew a newspaper and then I put a check mark over it, confirming that it's good good news. For a gold nugget, I got 1,000,000 gold, so I made the nugget smaller and then copy pasted it everywhere. After that, I made an iron nugget and got money, so I drew a really green dollar bill, and then I became rich in Minecraft, ironically with the 2 worst materials. Next, I made charcoal and got chat with, so I made a chat bubble. And then I did flint and got you can, so I drew a check mark over the flint showing that you can. For the next category, I want to do some mob drops, so first I did string. Okay, we got equivalent. Yarn is kind of like the equivalent of string, so I made a ball of yarn. The crafting recipe for wool actually makes a lot more sense now. For gunpowder, I also got money, so I re-rolled and got still no money. I just wrote $0 on a white background because I didn't know what to do. Next, I did a feather and got the water tank is full, so I drew a water tank and made it full. After that, I did leather and got during the summer. I colored the sky blue, added some thumbnail glass, made a tree, and then I added the sun and some clouds. Next, let's do a bone. Out of class. I drew a floor and a wall, added a desk and a whiteboard, and then I drew a person leaving the class. Next, I did rabbit hide and got a rabbit was born. Kinda the opposite happened, actually. I tried my best to draw a rabbit, and it actually ended up looking kind of good. Now when you kill a rabbit, you just get a rabbit. You also get a chicken when you kill a chicken, so that's cool. I did a slime ball and got a little tar goes a long way, so I found a picture of a road, and then I cut the shape of a slime ball out of it to make a tar ball. I did magma cream, and I got you think about it. I thought about it for a while, and I decided to draw a brain. I'm going to be Google translating Minecraft items and then making whatever result I get. First, let's do some diamond things. And we got Battle of Diamonds. For this one, I didn't really know what to do, so I just decided to make the pickaxe look like a battle pickaxe. The pickaxe looks kind of fancy, but unfortunately, it just does the same amount of damage. It didn't make it any better. Next, I'll do a sword. And we just got diamond. I can't remember why, but for this one, I just made the sword really fat and undetailed. Let me know if you would use this sword texture. I honestly think this looks really good. Next, I did a diamond axe, and it just gave me some letters that translate to Diamond River. For this one, I just put a bunch of sand around the diamond axe, and then I filled in the rest with grass to put the diamond axe in the place of a river. Would you rather PvP with this or the diamond sword from before? Personally, I'm picking the sword. I hate axes. For a diamond shovel, I got my pearls, so I used this filter to make the diamond shovel into the shape of an ender pearl. And for a diamond hoe, I got more weird letters. Apparently, this means beautiful jewelry. I decided to just turn the diamond hoe into a nice diamond ring instead. Honestly, both of these are jewelry if you think of it. It's just I'd rather have one a lot more than the other. Next, I translated a diamond, and we got in advance. Alone is sometimes called in advance, so for this one, I just kept the diamond the same. The only difference is now I owe it back to somebody with interest. Diamond armor is also made of diamonds, so let's translate a helmet next. The jewel in the crown. This is probably the best thing I could have gotten for a helmet, because a crown is basically a helmet already. Imagine if I got crowned for like the pants or something. Next, I did a chest plate, and I got diamond chart. I just made a really big piece of paper like this, and then I drew the diamond on the paper. I'm not really sure if this counts as a chart, but it doesn't look that bad when I'm wearing it. Next, for the leggings, it gave me diamond. So I had to double up on the diamonds by adding a diamond on top of the leggings and then adding another one that takes up the entire background. I'm not really sure how to make this into an armor piece, so this is what I came up with. Finally, for the boots, I got diamond shoes. And diamond boots are basically shoes already, so I just lowered them down a bit and added some red on the bottom of the shoes so that they can be light up shoes. Who needs armor trims when you can have light up shoes instead? They don't actually light up, unfortunately. Now that we've done the diamond stuff, it's time to do some of the other ores in the game. And the first ore is a gold ingot. Bangalore Babu? I don't really know who or what this is, but I know Bangalore is a city. So I just took the Bangalore flag and made it fit inside the texture. Next, let's do an iron ingot. Machine tools. I decided to just draw some kind of machine tool. I don't know, this is what I found when I looked it up. For a netherite ingot, I got Nitrate International, and this is a picture of nitrate, so I decided to just draw this picture to the best of my ability. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look the same, but it also doesn't look good. Both of those are bad. I don't know why I said but. A copper ingot translated to copper, and something that can be made from copper is a penny. So I drew a big copper colored circle and drew someone's head on it to make it a penny. This is for motion picture use only. This is not legal tender. For an emerald, I got ruby, which is actually kind of convenient because a ruby for some reason is an actual texture in the game. And then for coal, I got plan. I took the same piece of paper from earlier and put a bunch of lines on top of of it, which are supposed to be a plan. The interesting thing is this still makes sense being used as a fuel. Next I translated redstone. Okay, we just got red stone. For this one I decided to change the redstone dust into the shape of a stone, making it a literal redstone. This kinda just looks like I took it out of the ore without turning it to dust. Next I did lapis and I got the region of Lapland. Apparently this is a picture from Lapland. So first I drew some snow, then I added a house on top of it. Next I put some trees in the background and also added some sky. Then finally I added the northern light looking things in the sky as well. Who did it better, me or the actual picture? Amethyst isn't technically an ore, but I did it anyway. Okay, we got jewelry. For this one I made the amethyst way smaller and then I added a chain around it to make it a pendant on the necklace. Now that we've made all these ores, you're probably getting hungry. I don't know what those have to do with each other. But next I translated some foods. Okay, we got at the bottom. I didn't really know what to do for this one, so I just moved the steak to the bottom of the screen. Next I did an apple. In surgery. I cut the apple in half like this, and then I put the inside of the apple that is being removed in the middle. I don't know why the apple would go through all this surgery, I was just gonna eat it anyway. For chicken I got war, so I drew one of those war hats on top of the chicken, and then I gave it a gun like this. And then for bread I got minus eat. Minus eat is sort of like the opposite of eat, so I drew mold all over the bread because you shouldn't eat mold. It's not gonna stop me though. The next food I did was a cake, and I got it was too much. So I just removed some parts of the cake to make it look a lot smaller instead. And after that I translated a cookie and I got pie. I took the pumpkin pie texture that is already in Minecraft and I decided to turn it into a berry pie instead. I'm not gonna lie, it kinda looks like the crust is raw. I'm throwing this out. For a golden apple I got sea of gold. So I drew a sea and then I put a bunch of small golden apples in it, and then I drew a beach on the shore and added a boat floating on the sea of gold. And for the last food item I did a golden carrot. Okay, we got golden seed. For this one I just took the regular wheat seeds and turned them gold. Somehow now this is one of the best foods in the game. After translating all those foods, it's time for me to translate some random items. I don't really know how I got this from Totem of Undying. I decided to just put a really low detail tinder background around the totem. Next I translated a fishing rod. Is true. When something is true, it's usually associated with the color green, so I just decided to color the fishing rod green. Next I did a bow and I got the height. People usually measure height with a tape measure, so I just turned the bow into a tape measure. Guys, it looks like the tape measure isn't working, so I guess this means I'm still 6'7". You can't prove otherwise. For a crossbow I got do you have, so I just put a question mark on top of the crossbow, so it's always asking if you have one. And then I did an ender pearl and I got another ship. I decided to turn the ender pearl into a small end ship like this. I'm really just throwing an entire end ship. That's crazy. For the next few items I'm gonna speedrun them. For the eye of ender I got his eyes were closed, so I made a closed enderman eye. For the XP bottle I got look in the mirror, so I just drew a mirror. And for the egg I got I slept, so I turned the egg sideways and drew some Z's to show that it's sleeping. Out of all of these, my favorite is the eye of ender. I like how it's still able to find the stronghold even though it's closed. I translated a snowball and it gave me it is snowing. So I added a bunch of snowflakes falling down like this. And since I translated a bow earlier, I also had to do the arrow. Okay, we got house. I drew a square like this, added an arrow colored roof, and then I added a door and some windows. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty bad looking house. It kinda looks like a face. For my next items, I had a theme. First, I translated a potion. He is drinking. You already drink potions, so I just decided to change the bottle into a glass to make a fancier potion instead. Next, I translated netherwort. Okay, we got a person. I used the colors from the netherwort and turned them into a person's face like this. I'm not gonna lie, this looks like the evil version of someone you would find on a vegetable can. Forest industry. I don't know much about the forest industry, but I do know that it has to do with trees, so I just drew a tree. Next I translated a gas tier. The voice disappeared. I just added a microphone stand underneath the gas tier because the voice would disappear if the gas tier took over the mic. And now we can make a regen potion using our weird ingredients. I translated shears and got I'm back, and I didn't know what to do, so I just turned the shears around to put the back in the front, and then I translated a bucket and got bro. I didn't even know this counted as a word. I drew some eyes on the bucket and then I gave it a mouth as well. But now bro decided to drink some water, so next I did a water bucket. We got courtesy. It's considered courtesy to hold open a door for someone, so I made it look like the water bucket is holding open a door. Or he might be holding it closed, which is the opposite of courtesy. For a lava bucket I got foot skin, which is kind of a weird thing to get, so I just drew a foot instead of the bucket. And an unrelated item here is a flint and steel, hard coal and iron. I just decided to turn the steel part light to make it look more like iron, and then I added coal over the top of the flint like like this. A few more items I did was a fire charge in jail because it was charged with arson, a nether brick that I turned into spinach, a netherite scrap that got turned into a Wi-Fi symbol, and a piece of quartz that is supposed to be a pillow, although it kind of looks more like one of those flour sacks. The next item I translated was bone meal. They eat bones. I'm not sure if dogs actually eat bones, but they definitely chew on them, so I just decided to draw a dog. I can't tell if this looks good or bad. I feel like the face looks kind of like a human. I translated a chorus fruit and got 84 results, so I just changed it into the Google logo because a search engine is where you could find 84 results. And then for an elytra, I got good luck. So I made it into a 4-winged elytra because 4-leaf clovers are good luck. For the next two items, I did dragon breath and got doctor, so I just drew a doctor's coat around it and also gave it one of those stethoscope things around its neck. And then I did an end crystal and got glass layer. So I just removed the end crystal and only left the glass layer like this. It's still normal on the ground though. I don't know how to change it. I added all 26 letters from alphabet lore into Minecraft. First I made A, and I used an axolotl to make A because A starts with axolotl. Wait, no, it's the other way around. I'm not going to lie, my A looked kind of ugly, so because of that, I added some grill lines on his teeth to really give it detail. And because he is A, I decided to spawn him on an acacia tree. Now you might be thinking I should have put him in the water, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Next I made B, and I made B from a bee because, well, you know. Everything about him was looking pretty good, but then I realized B has these eyes that are really annoying to make. So I gave him these messed up eyes, and I also got rid of the grill lines. I don't know why I did that in the first place. B is supposed to be a butterfly, so we'll pretend his wings are flapping because I don't know how to do that. Also, here's a bee army chasing me because I didn't subscribe before 500k. Next, I'll be making both C and D. For C, I used a creeper, and C is kind of curved, so I spent 5 minutes trying to perfectly rotate these pieces. I then added his teeth and gave him these angry looking eyes, and finally added some noise because noise makes everything better. Next for D, I used a dolphin, and I copied this piece with a squished dolphin's face on it until I had the shape of a D. I then gave him a sideways mouth and added his eyes, which make him look like he has 159 children in his basement. I then put C in the C, even though C doesn't start with C because C and C are both pronounced C, so it makes sense. And then I put D in the C as well because he's a dolphin. Now all either of them have to worry about is pirates, and drowning because apparently C can't breathe underwater. The next letter is E, and for E I used the only logical mob, the Ender Dragon. I had to delete his entire body until I was left with half of his head, and then I turned his head into the shape of an E and finally added some teeth and his eyes right above that. I don't know how you would be able to kill the Ender Dragon now that you can barely see it, but that's not my problem. Well, actually it kinda is. Next I made F, and F is a bad guy, so I made him a frog because these are the only two mobs that start with F. I gave F these really ugly teeth that look nothing like the original, and then I decided to get fancy and rotate his eyes. Since F attacks everybody, we'll pretend that this slime is E and he is being eaten by F. We'll also make F kidnap D because why not? Next I made G, and I won't lie, I already made G before, so I decided to copy paste him onto a ghast. For some reason G is really big and also flies around, which is probably not accurate. Also in the intro, F runs over G, so I tried to make that in the best way I possibly could. But then he shot fireballs at me, so I gave up. Next I'm going to make H and I. For H I used a horse, and he was quite easy to make. I added his eyes and his curved mouth, and then I was done. For I used an iron golem, and I decided to make him from a single leg. It turns out that I is also easy to make. All I really had to do was add his eyes and his tiny smile. I put H in a house, and I even rode him, which made me technically flying because H is a ghost. Then I put horse armor on H just to see how it would look. Let's just get rid of this. Next I spawned I in an igloo because what better place for an iron golem to live? I also thought he looked really funny when he walked because he's just a leg. The next letters are J and K. And as it turns out, there are no mobs that start with J or K, so I decided to use mobs that might sound like they do. For J, I used a giant, which could be spelt with a J if you're in kindergarten and don't know letters yet. J looks really sus, and I think it's even worse that I decided to make him really big. You also can't really do anything except hit him, so let's move on. For K, I used a cow, and I literally just spelt it wrong in my script, so this fits perfectly. I added this thing on top of its head and gave it some eyes and this bug mouth thing. I then decided to put K with B because they are both bugs. Also, putting them together stands for Burger King. The next letter is LMNOP. Did anyone else used to think that was one big letter? Anyways, there's only one mob that starts with L, and that's the llama. Spit. Llama Spit. I made L out of llama spit, which apparently counts as a mob. I then spawned a llama in the game and made it spit on me. I don't know what I was expecting from this, but this definitely wasn't it. For M, I decided to use a minecart, which also isn't a mob. I only used the front part to make him and spent too much time trying to rotate these pieces. I then added his eyes and his squiggly mouth and spawned M in a mineshaft. He doesn't really do much on his own, but you can kind of use him as a car. A very slow car, of course. There are no mobs that start with N, so instead I decided to make him from the nether. I don't really know what my plan was, and I ended up just putting a picture of N on top of Netherrack. At least now when I enter the nether, it looks a lot worse. He also could possibly be the new Netflix logo. This is actually just a cover-up for the fact that I forgot to make N when I was making the other letters. For O, there is only one mob that I can use, which is the Ocelot. O is annoying to make because O is a circle and Minecraft isn't known for its circles. But once I was done the circle, all I had to do was add his eye. After that, I decided to spawn O in Ohio. No, seriously, I don't know how this map even ended up on my PC. I even used H and I to spell out Ohio and then exited the world, trapping them in Ohio forever. For P, I decided to use a phantom. I've also already made P before, so I just copy-pasted her onto a phantom. Since P is a superhero, seeing her fly actually makes sense. But she is still very annoying like a regular phantom. Seriously, stop hitting me, the clip is over. Next I made Q, and nothing starts with Q, so I used a turtle. I added his big mouth, the little spots on his body, and finally I added his eyes. I spawned Q on the beach, and he was really slow, just like he should be. So I spawned an army of Qs, and then I gave them all slowness, and they literally couldn't even move. Is this mean? I don't know. Next I made R, and I made him from a Ravager. I used the Ravager's head as a body, and I gave him his eye, and finally I added his mouth. When I saw him in game, I realized I added too much noise, and he looks like concrete powder. Also, for some reason, R randomly has the ability to fly. Wait, no, that's just E pushing him. The next letters are S and T, and for S I decided to use a snow golem. At this point, I was getting really lazy, so instead of making a 3D mob, I just drew S on top of a plane, and that was it. S is a snake, so I put him in the sand, but then I realized that's not exactly where snow golems go. So I put S in the snow instead, and then I made him have a snowball fight with me. I also spawned an army of them and made them fight a bunch of zombies, and they lost. Really badly. For T, I used my favorite mob, a trident. I don't know how a trident counts as a mob, but it's already in the shape of a T, so this was pretty easy to make. Now I look really cool when I'm using Riptide, and I can also use T to strike lightning. But that's basically it. As it turns out, making a custom trident is kinda boring. Next, I decided to make U, and nothing starts with U, so I decided to make him from U, like U is in the viewer. I'm just kidding, I actually used a goat. I rotated these two corner pieces, which ended up looking really bad, and then I gave him his eyes and his mouth. After making U, I also had all the letters to spell my favorite word. Oh wait, I spelled it wrong. Next I made V, and V is a villager. Once again, I decided to only use a leg to make him, and at first I made a U because I forgot how letters work. I then rotated the two sides and gave him a couple eyes and a tiny mouth. His mouth didn't really look right, but at this point I didn't care, so I spawned V in a village, and there were arms above his head, which I also didn't feel like fixing. The final four letters are W, X, Y, and Z. And for W, I decided to use the Warden. I'm sorry, Wither. I don't understand why I have such a hard time rotating these pieces, but it ended up like this, and this is the best it's gonna get. I then added 4 of the exact same eyes to W, and then made a very complicated mouth to put on each side. I would rate W as 0 out of 10 in terms of design, but she looks really funny coming out of the ground. I can even spam W's in the chat and then get chased by all of them. Please help. There are no mobs that start with X, so I used the honorable mention from W, the Wither. I shaped him into an X, which was easy, and then I added these purple things on each side. Next I drew all the details on his face, and then I added these things behind him. Since X is a ninja, I decided to fight him in hand-to-hand combat to see who would win. But X decided to cheat and shoot a bunch of wither heads at me instead, causing me to resort to ancient fighting tactics to secure the victory. I made Y out of a wolf because I don't know anymore, I just picked something random. I rotated these two pieces to make the shape of a Y, and then I gave her 2 eyes which blend in perfectly with her body and gave her a mouth that looks like it's from an emoji. I don't really know what I'm doing anymore, so enjoy this video of me taming a bunch of Ys. The final letter is Z, and somehow there is actually a mob that starts with Z, a zombie. So I made Z from a zombie head instead, which apparently counts as a mob. Since Z is a planet, I am demonstrating that by standing on top of Z. I even tried to spawn every letter on top of him, which didn't work at all. If the creator of Alphabet Lore is watching this, I'm sorry. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into Poppy Playtime 3 3. The first character I'll make is Catnap, and I'm gonna use a cat. It should be obvious why. First, let's remove this stuff, and we'll rearrange his body parts for now. Now let's change the shape of his body a little bit, and we'll make his legs a bit bigger like this. Now let's give him some arms on the side, and now let's start to shape his head. Next, I'm gonna give him some ears on the top of his head, and we'll start to give him a big tail right here. Alright, now this is looking good, so let's color him in. First, we'll color his body fully purple, and I'm gonna give him a mouth up here. Next, I'm gonna color in this nose piece, and we'll start to give him some eyes. Now let's add the moon that he has on his chest. Next, I'm gonna change his face a little bit like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Catnap looks in game. As you can see, this guy looks really happy, which I'm sure means he's very friendly and not at all scary. Catnap is very powerful as he's able to do a lot of damage, and if you get attacked by Catnap, I made it so that he chases you on all fours like this. I take back what I said about him before. He's definitely scary. Catnap has a ranged attack, which is supposed to be him shooting gas, and when Catnap hits you, he will change it to nighttime because he wears the moon pendant. Catnap will also drop this night clock if he dies, which makes it nighttime as long as you are holding it in your hand. If you try to use a bed when Catnap is around, he will destroy the bed so that you cannot sleep, and Catnap is also immune to fall damage because he's a cat, and cats are usually immune to fall damage. Overall, I don't think Catnap turned out that bad, but he also looks a little bit funny. So because of this, I'm going to give Catnap an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make Dog Day, and I'm gonna use a wolf because a wolf is a dog. First, we'll remove some of the stuff we don't need, and I'm gonna move his body around a little bit for now. Next, let's give him some new legs like this, and we'll change the shape of his body. Now I'm gonna copy one of the legs and turn it into an arm, and I'll give him a hand on the bottom of his arm. Now let's start to change the shape of his head, and we'll give him some spots for his eyes up here. Now let's give him some big floppy ears on the top, and I think this is looking pretty good, so now let's color him in. First, we'll color his entire body in orangish yellow. Now I'm gonna give him a mouth like this. Next, we'll color his ears a reddish color, and we'll do the same for his arms and his feet. Now let's color these divider things a dark gray, and I'm gonna give him a nose like this. Next, let's draw the sun on the front of his chest. Alright, I think this is looking good. Let's add Dog Day to the game. This is how Dog Day looks in game. As you can see, he looks pretty good. Also, just like Catnap, he doesn't really look that scary. He has more of a friendly look. But don't let this trick you though, as Dog Day has the same chasing animation that I gave to Catnap. I think I'm just gonna stay in creative mode for now. Since Dog Day has the sun pendant, I made it so that when Dog Day hits you, he turns it to daytime instead of night. Dog Day is also able to spawn smiling critters to help him fight since he's the leader. But right now, he can only spawn Catnap because I haven't made any of the other ones. If you kill Dog Day, he will drop a Sun Axe, and the Sun Axe is insanely powerful as it does 19 attack damage and it can also destroy almost any block. Overall, I think Dog Day turned out a lot better than Catnap. I actually like how he looks this time. So because of this, I'm going to give Dog Day a 10 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Bobby Bear Hug, and I'll use a polar bear because she's a bear. First, let's get rid of a few things. Next, I'm gonna move these parts around a bit. Now let's give her some new legs, and we'll make her body a lot smaller like this. Next, I'm gonna bend her body a little bit, and I'll just start to give her some arms on the side right here, and we'll just copy this to the other side. Next, I'm gonna start shaping her head, and we'll give her some ears on the top like this. Okay, that looks good. Now it's time to color her in. First, I'm gonna color her body a dark red, and we'll color her feet and hands a light pink. Now let's give her a big mouth like this, and we'll start to add her eyes on the top of the head. Next, let's give her some bright white pupils, and I'm gonna add a few more pink details. Next, let's give her a nose like this, and we'll add the heart that she has on her chest. Alright, I think this looks good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Bobby Bear Hug looks in game. I don't know why, but she kind of reminds me of Freddy Fazbear. It's probably because they are both bears actually. That would make sense. Unlike Dog Day and Catnap, I decided to make it so that Bobby Bear Hug is passive towards players, and you are actually able to tame her if you feed her raw fish, because I'm pretty sure bears like fish. Once you tame Bobby Bear Hug, she will follow you around, and if you ever get low on health, you can right click her and you will be healed to full health immediately. So she's pretty OP if you think of it. Bobby Bear Hug will also attack any mobs that are fighting you, and she does a ton of melee damage because bears are very powerful in real life. If you kill Bobby Bear Hug, I made her drop a heart, which just gives you a heart when it's right clicked, and overall I don't think Bobby Bear Hug turned out that bad. I actually kind of like this design. So because of this, I decided to give her a 9 out of 10. Next, I'll make Bubba Bubbaphant, and I'm gonna use a Ravager because it kind of looks like an elephant. So first, let's just get rid of all this stuff, and I'm gonna start with Bobby Bear Hug's body. So let's change these ears into more elephant looking ears, and we'll change the nose into a big trunk like this. Next, I'm gonna reshape the heart into the shape of a light bulb, and we'll just change his tail on the back as well. Okay, now this is good. Let's give him some new colors. First, we'll color his body a light blue, and we'll give him the same color on his head. Next, I'm gonna color his feet and hands a darker blue, and we'll put this on the end of his tail tail as well. Now let's color in the light bulb on his chest, and I'm just gonna add a few more details all around his body, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add him to the game. This is how Bubba Bubbaphant looks in game. He looks a lot like Bobby Bearhug, but to be fair, all the critters kind of look the same when you don't know what their monster form is like. Since Bubba Bubbaphant is an elephant, I decided to give him a ranged attack, which is supposed to be water shooting out of his trunk. He does shoot a lot of water though, so I'm not really sure how he fits it in his trunk. You might have also noticed that Bubba Bubbaphant emits light, and that's because his pendant is a light bulb, so I literally just made him a light bulb. Bubba Bubbaphant also can do a ton of melee damage like Bobby Bearhug, and this is because an elephant is also a really powerful animal, I'm guessing. If you kill Bubba Bubbaphant, you will drop a light bulb, and the light bulb works just like a torch, except you are not able to place it. It's only meant to be held. Overall, I don't think Bubba Bubbaphant turned out that bad, and because of this, I decided to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Picky Piggy, and I'll use a pig because she's a pig. So first, I'm gonna remove all these pig parts, and we're going to start with Bubba Bubbaphant's body. So let's completely remove the trunk, and we'll start to make the ears a lot more pig-shaped. Next, I'm gonna give her a completely new nose, and I'm gonna change this light bulb into the shape of an apple like this. Now let's remove this tail, and we'll turn it into a spirally tail. Okay, now this is good, so it's time to change her colors. First, I'm gonna color her body light pink, and we'll color her head the same color. Now let's color her nose a darker pink, and we'll use the same color for her hands and her feet. Next, let's color in the apple we put on her chest. Now finally, let's color in the tail, and I think this is looking good. Let's add Picky Piggy to the game. This is how Picky Piggy looks in game. I don't know why, but her face looks a little bit scary. But other than that, she doesn't look that bad, I guess. I don't know, it's just really weird. Similar to Bobby Bearhug, if you right-click Picky Piggy, she will give you hunger instead of health. And this is good because you no longer need to kill pigs to get food now. Picky Piggy is also really picky according to her name, so I made it so that she attacks regular pigs, as she's very particular about what pigs she likes. If you kill Picky Piggy, I made it so that she drops a suspicious apple, and this apple just gives you a couple of potion effects, which kind of have me wondering what she did to the apple. Overall, I think Picky Piggy turned out pretty good, but her face just looks a little bit scary. So because of this, I decided to give her a 7 out of 10. Next, I'll make Crafty Corn, and I'm gonna use a horse because that's almost a unicorn. So like usual, we'll remove all this horse stuff, and I'm gonna start from Picky Piggy's body. So let's just change these ears a little bit, and we'll start to give her some hair on the top like this. Next, I'm gonna add her unicorn horn on the top, and we'll change this apple into the shape of a flower. Now let's remove this tail, and we'll make it into a bushier tail like this. Okay, now this is looking good, so let's change her colors. First, we'll color her entire body white, and we'll do the same thing on her head. Now let's color her hair light blue, and we'll color her hands and feet the same color. Next, let's color in the flower that is on her chest, and I'm gonna color her unicorn horn a bit darker than her body, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Crafty Corn looks in game. I will say she's probably one of my favorite non-monster critters right now. Also ignore the particles she's emitting. I just gave them to her because it felt like something she would do. You may have also noticed that every time Crafty Corn moves, a trail of rainbow colored blocks follows her because her pendant is a rainbow flower, so it only makes sense. Another thing you can do is tame Crafty Corn using some wheat, and after you tame Crafty Corn, you are able to ride her similar to a horse. And this honestly looks really cool when it's paired with the rainbow trail that she has. If you kill Crafty Corn, she drops a rainbow sword, which is just a really OP sword that strikes lightning every time you hit something, and it also has a chance of exploding when using it as well. Just ignore the way it looks in my hand though, I don't know how this happened. And overall, I think Crafty Corn is one of my favorite critters so far. So because of this, I decided to give her a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Hoppy Hopscotch, and I'll use a rabbit because she's a rabbit. First, let's remove all these rabbit parts, and I'm gonna start from Bubba Bubbaphant's body because it will be easier. So let's just change these ears into long rabbit ears, and I'm gonna change the light bulb into a lightning bolt like this. Now let's give her a completely different looking tail, and now this is good, so I'm gonna change her colors. First, I'm gonna color her body entirely green, and we'll just do the same thing on her face. Now let's color her hands and feet a bit darker green, and I'm gonna color her tail the same color. Next, I'm gonna add a bit more detail all around her body, and I think this looks pretty good. Let's add her to the game. This is how Hoppy Hopscotch looks in game. She kinda has the same Freddy Fazbear looking face from before, but she still looks pretty good, despite not looking like a bunny. As you can see, Hoppy Hopscotch is really fast, and since she's a bunny, I decided to make it so that she can jump really high as well. And if you want some of this jumping power for yourself, you can right click on Hoppy Hopscotch and you will get jump boost for 30 seconds as well. If Hoppy Hopscotch gets in a fight, she strikes lightning on the enemy because her pendant is a lightning bolt, and if you kill Hoppy Hopscotch, she drops these green boots, which when worn will give you permanent jump boosts just like she has. Overall, I think Hoppy Hopscotch turned out pretty good. I especially like her ears. So because of this, I decided to give her an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make Kickin' Chicken, and I'm obviously gonna use a chicken. First, I'm gonna remove the chicken like this, and just like the last time, we'll use Bubba Bubbaphant as a base. So let's just get rid of this trunk, and we'll get rid of his ears. Next, I'm gonna make his face a bit bigger like this. Next, I'm gonna change the light bulb into a star. Now let's change his hands into wings, and I'm gonna add the hair that he has on his head right here. Next, I'm gonna give him a new tail like this, and I'm gonna add the beak on his face right here. Okay, now this looks good, so let's start to color him in. First, we'll color his body entirely yellow, and I'm gonna do the same thing on his head. Next, we'll color his feet orange. Now let's color his star a reddish color, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add Kickin' Chicken to the game. This is how Kickin' Chicken looks in game. This is definitely my least favorite smiling critter, I won't lie. But the fact that he's able to fly makes up for it a little bit. It makes him look more unique. It also gives him this cool flying animation, which doesn't actually look that cool. It looks a little bit weird, actually. If Kickin' Chicken gets in a fight, he does a ton of knockback because he has Kickin' in his name. Also similar to Picky Piggy, Kickin' Chicken also doesn't like regular chickens, but this time it has no reason. He's just a hater, I guess. If you kill Kickin' Chicken, I made it so that he drops a star, and upon right-clicking the star, you will just start levitating in the air until you make it to the stars. And overall, I think Kickin' Chicken doesn't look that good, but I like some of the features that he has. So because of this, I decided to give him a 7 out of 10. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into the amazing digital circus. The first character I'll make is Pomni, and I'm going to use a villager to make her. First, let's get rid of this stuff because we don't need it. Now let's change the shape of her body, and we'll start shaping her legs. Next, I'm going to give her some arms, and I'll just add a hand on the bottom here. Next, I'm going to change the shape of her head, and let's start to add her hat on the top as well. And I think that's a pretty good body, so now let's start to color her in. First, let's color her head white, and we'll do the same for her arms and legs as well. Now let's color in these yellow parts like this. Next, let's color in her clothes, and I'll make sure to add the blue spots on the other side. Now let's put these buttons that she has on the front of her shirt like this, and now it's time to give her a face. So first, I'm gonna add her eyes like this, and I'm also gonna give her a strand of hair on each side of her head as well. And I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Pomni looks in game. She doesn't look that bad. I like how I made her constantly looking around paranoid, just like how she is in the show. We'll just ignore the fact that she's bald on the back of her head though. I'm pretty sure her hat is supposed to cover that. In the show, Pomni throws up on the ground, so I made it so that when she hits you, you get the nausea effect. It is also said that Pomni doesn't like being touched, so I made it so that she runs away from enemies very quickly if she gets attacked. In the show, Pomni tries to escape the circus through a bunch of exit doors, so I made it so that Pomni can open doors by herself, just like a regular villager. Pomni also gets teleported to the void if you right-click her, because I just felt like adding that. I don't really know why. If you kill Pomni, she drops her red hand, which gets glitched in the first episode, so if you hold this hand out for yourself, you get teleported around randomly, sort of like you're glitching. And a fun fact about Pomni is that her favorite food is salmon, so you can also feed Pomni salmon. Overall, I think Pomni turned out pretty good and has a lot of interesting features. So because of this, I decided to give Pomni a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Cain, and I'll use an evoker to make him. First, let's get rid of all this stuff that we don't need, and let's change the shape of his leg and bend it like this. Next, I'm gonna work on his arms, so let's just rotate this piece like this, and we'll give him a hand and copy this over to the other side as well. Next, I'm gonna change his head into the shape of some gums like this, and let's just add some teeth on the top in the same shape as well. Next, I'll give him his top hat on top of the mouth. Okay, now this is looking good, so let's give him some color. First, I'm gonna color his gums bright red, and we'll color the teeth white like this. Next, I'm gonna color in his eyes, and let's color his shirt a pinkish color as well. Okay, now this looks good, so let's just add some detail to his shirt right here, and we'll give him his different color eyeballs as well. Now let's give him his stick, because I forgot to do that. And I think that Cain is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Cain looks in game. He actually looks really good. Also ignore the cakes that are spawning around him. I'll explain that in a second. Since Cain is the host of the digital circus, I decided to make it so that Cain is completely invincible to all types of damage except for cactuses. Cain is also seen teleporting throughout the episode, so I made it so that Cain teleports away if he takes too much damage, similar to the TV people in my Skibidi videos. Cain also spawns cake randomly around him, as you can see, because he spawned a cake out of thin air in the first episode. Unfortunately, there is no bubble to eat this cake right now. We'll just have to wait until later for that. If Cain somehow manages to die, he drops a stick, which can be used to either remove any block you right-click on with it, or you can send any mob to the void if you right-click them as well. Overall, I think Cain turned out really good. He's definitely one of my favorite mobs I've made. So because of this, I decided to give Cain a 10 out of 10. He deserves it. The next character I'll make is Jax, and I'm gonna use a rabbit because Jax is a rabbit, I think. First, I'm gonna get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and let's rearrange his body parts a little bit for now. Next, let's make his legs super tall like this, and we'll change the shape of his body to to make it a bit taller as well. Now let's give him a neck like this, and I'll just change the shape of his head to make it a bit more round. Now let's just add his ears on the very top, and now it's time to give Jax some arms. And I think this is good, so let's give Jax some color. First I'm gonna color his head purple, and we'll do the same for his arms and body as well. Now let's color his overalls a pinkish color, and we'll do the same for his legs like this. Next I'm gonna color both of his hands a yellowish color, and we'll just give him 2 buttons here, and now it's time to add his face. First I'm gonna give him a big yellow mouth, and let's just give him some eyes above that. I'm also gonna give him a couple eyebrows above his eyes like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Jax looks in game. He honestly looks pretty similar to the actual show. The only difference is that he's obviously made of cubes though, so he could never be as good as the original. It was kind of hard for me to think of features to give Jax, so he only really has a couple. To start, Jax is super tall as you can see, just like he is in the actual series, and you can also see Jax run away really quickly in the first episode, so I made it so that Jax is super fast in game as well. You can also ride on Jax's back for some reason. I'm not really sure why I added this. It just seems like something that he would be able to do. If you kill Jax, you get a rabbit's foot because he's a rabbit, so that's the less evil version of making him just drop rabbit meat. And overall, I think Jax looks pretty good, but he doesn't really have that many features. So because of this, I decided to give Jax an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Ragatha, and I'm gonna use a witch to make her. First, let's get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and I'm just gonna make her body a lot smaller for now, and I'll just add a few layers underneath as her dress. Next, I'm gonna give her an arm like this, and I'll just give her a hand on the bottom as well. Now let's copy this over to the other side, and next let's work on her head. First, I'm gonna change the shape of it like this. Next, I'm gonna start adding her hair on the side, and I'll just copy these hairs all around her head, and we'll also add her bow on the top like this. And I think this is a pretty good body, so now let's give her some color. First, I'm gonna color her head and her arms in like this. Next, let's just color her hair a reddish pink color as well. Now let's color her entire dress a purplish color, and we'll color the bow on top slightly darker. Next, I'm gonna add the patches on her dress in the same color as the bow. And now let's add a bit more detail, and we'll start to give her a face. Alright, after like 5 tries, this is the face I'm going with. It still looks weird, but it's the best I'm gonna get. Now finally, let's add a bit of texture, and I think this looks good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Ragatha looks in game. I definitely think her face looks a little weird. She also makes witch noises, which I'm not really sure if it fits her or not. It's kind of strange. Also, we're just gonna ignore the fact that you can see through her hair. Just pretend the back part here is fully covered. In the show, Ragatha gets attacked and becomes completely glitched out, so I decided to make it so that Ragatha glitches whenever she gets hit, which looks kind of funny more than glitchy. This is also the only feature that Ragatha has because I couldn't really think of anything else. If you kill Ragatha, she drops this red thing from the nether because it was supposed to be her hair, and overall I think Ragatha looks kind of cursed and she doesn't really have any features. So because of this, I'm going to give Ragatha a 6 out of 10. I just made her face look too weird. Next character I'll make is Gangle, and I'll make Gangle from a skeleton because they're both kind of built the same. First, I'm gonna make her head a lot smaller like this, and now let's shape the head into a mask as well, and I think that's good, so let's just work on her left arm like this, and we'll make the right arm similar but rotate it in a different direction. Next, I'm gonna make her legs a lot thinner, and we'll rotate the bottom part a little bit like this. Now let's copy this to the other side, and it's time to color her in. First, I'm gonna draw a red spiral for her body like this, and I'm gonna color her arms and her legs the same color. Now let's add a bit of detail with a slightly lighter red, and next I'm gonna color in her mask, and now finally let's give her a face like this, and we'll also add a little bit more texture to her body as well, and I think that is looking pretty good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Gangle looks in game. Despite being very simple to make, I think she actually turned out pretty good. I will say that having the arms like this is kind of strange though. They don't really move that much. In the show, Gangle has at least 2 masks, the comedy mask and the tragedy mask, but she falls and breaks her comedy mask at the beginning of the first episode, so I decided to make it so that when Gangle dies, her comedy mask falls and reveals the tragedy mask. You may have also noticed that the comedy mask drops as an item when she dies, and if you decide to wear this comedy mask, you get speed 4 and jump boost 4 because those effects are kind of fun, I guess. The mask is also off-centered when you wear it, but we'll just ignore that. It's the only way I could make it fit. Overall, I think Gangle turned out pretty good, and I think her mask is a cool addition to the game. So because of this, I'm going to give Gangle a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Kinger, and I'll use a snow golem to make him. First, I'm gonna get rid of these layers because we don't need them, and let's make the bottom smaller like this. Now let's add another part on top, and we'll make it way taller as well. Next, I'm gonna copy this part on top, and we'll bend it so he's hunched over a little bit. And now I'm just gonna add a part on the front that is gonna be his coat. Now let's add a piece for his head up here, and we'll add another part on top, and we'll also add the king thing on the very top like this. Next, I'm gonna change his neck area a little bit so that he can have his coat, and this looks pretty good. Now let's color him in. First, I'm gonna color his body a purplish color, and we'll just color in the rest of his coat as well. Now let's color his head slightly darker than his coat. Next, I'm gonna give him an eye, and we'll copy this over to the other side and rotate them a little bit as well. Now let's give him a hand, and we'll color it the same color as his coat. Next, Next we'll add a little bit of detail to his coat like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Kinger looks in game. This guy is honestly a little bit larger than I thought he would be. I also decided to make it so that Kinger sways back and forth quickly, because in the show he seems to be a little bit on edge. Wait, where did he go? Why is he hiding underneath these randomly colored blocks? Since Kinger seems to be crazy in the show, I decided to make it so that when you right click Kinger, he shakes really quickly, similar to when he did this in the show. This also makes him look kinda funny if you just spam it. If you kill Kinger, I made it so that he drops 1 scaffolding, and you might be wondering why I chose this random item, and it's because it has a checkerboard pattern on it, and Kinger is a chess piece. Overall, I don't think Kinger looks that bad, but he's also not the best looking mob. So because of this, I decided to give Kinger a 7 out of 10. The next character I'll make is Zooble, and I'll use a blaze to make them because they both have a bunch of body parts. First, let's remove all these because we don't need them, and I'm just gonna make the first leg like this, and we'll just add this hook shape on the bottom of the right leg, and we'll also add a spiral on the top. Next, I'm gonna give Zooble a body, and we'll just copy the spiral for their neck as well. Next, I'm gonna work on making a triangle shape for the head, and I'm also gonna add a left arm like this, and we'll also make a right arm that has a lot less spirals. Now I'm gonna color Zooble in, so first let's color the body yellowish, and we'll color Zooble's head in pink. Next, I'm gonna color the rest of the body a bunch of different colors. Now let's add some spots on Zooble's body like this, and now I'm gonna add a few more parts on the body that I missed, and I think that looks good. So now let's just add their eyes like this, and we'll also add this zigzag thing that comes off the top of their head as well. Now let's add the Y on the other part of the head, and we'll give it some stripes as well, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how Zooble looks in game. This is how Zooble looks in game. I'm honestly kind of surprised that I was able to make them look good with all the different pieces. I will say the blaze noises are really annoying though. I definitely should have removed them. But other than that, this actually did turn out pretty good. In the show, Zooble gets broken into a bunch of pieces, so I decided to make it so that when you kill Zooble, it breaks them into a bunch of pieces as well. Ignore the fact that they're able to stand back up. You also might have noticed that Zooble drops a Zooble head when they die, and you might be wondering what the Zooble head does. No, you are not able to wear it. Instead, you can eat the Zooble head and you will gain bad luck for a minute. This is because Zooble seems kinda unlucky in the first episode. Overall, I think Zooble turned out a lot better than I thought they would, so because of this, I decided to give Zooble an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Bubble, and I'll use a Vex because I made Cain from an Evoker. First, I'm gonna get rid of all this Vex stuff, and I'm just gonna generate a circle like this. Now let's color this circle a purplish color, and I'm gonna rotate this circle a bunch of different times until we have a bubble. Next, I'm gonna remove some pieces like this so we have some teeth, and let's just color these teeth white so we can see them. Next, I'm gonna add an eye on the side, and we'll color it reddish brown, and now let's just copy this to the other side, and I think that looks good. Let's see how Bubble looks in game. This is how Bubble looks in game. This is probably the least Minecrafty looking mob I've ever made. The teeth still look Minecrafty though. I didn't really add that much detail to them. Since Bubble is supposed to be Cain's sidekick, I decided to make it so that when you right click Cain, he spawns in Bubble, similar to how the actual Evoker spawns Vexes. Bubble is also seen licking stuff in the show, so I decided to make it so that you get licked by Bubble if he attacks you as well. If you kill Bubble, he has a popping animation, which actually looks kinda cool. And you might have noticed that he drops an ender pearl, and that's just because it's the same shape as a bubble. That's really it. Overall, I don't think Bubble looks that bad, but he's a little bit weird compared to my regular mobs. So because of this, I'm going to give Bubble a 7 out of 10. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into Garten of Banban 6. The first character I'll make is Sir Dadadoo, and I'm gonna use a Ravager because they're both big and scary. First, let's remove all the stuff we don't need, and we'll start to make the shape of his body. Now let's start giving him an arm on the side. Next, I'm gonna start to give him a head, and I think this is good, so now let's start to add some color. First, I'm gonna color his body fully light gray. Now let's color his hands the same color as his head, and now we'll just give him some teeth on the bottom like this. Now finally, let's start to give him a tie, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Sir Dadadoo looks in game. He definitely looks pretty scary. He also kind of looks like he's from Monsters Inc. Does anyone else see that? It's probably just the tie that he's wearing. It makes him look like he's ready for work. Since Sir Dadadoo kind of looks like a slug, I decided to make it so that he walks very slowly. But don't let this trick you though, because just like in the actual game, Sir Dadadoo is able to move very quickly if he's attacking you. And if you get hit by Sir Dadadoo, he will give you all these potion effects, because in the game, he possesses some of the other monsters, so this is kind of the same thing. Subscribe or Sir Dadadoo will possess you. If you manage to kill Sir Dadadoo, he drops a Dadadoo tooth, which does the same thing as his attack does. It possesses things. And overall, I think Sir Dadadoo turned out really good. He looks a lot like the actual monster. So because of this, I decided to give Sir Dadadoo a 10 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the nanny, and I'll use a pig because the nanny is either a pig or a cow, but I don't know which. So first, let's get rid of these back legs. Now let's start to shape the body like this. Now let's make these legs a lot bigger. Now let's change the shape of her head a little bit, and we'll just give her some floppy ears like this. And I think this is looking good, so now let's color her in. First, I'm gonna color her body a gray grayish blue color. Now let's color her legs a little bit darker. Now let's color her nose blue. And we'll give her some bright yellow eyes like this. Now let's give her a blue mouth as well. And I think this is looking good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how the nanny looks in game. I still can't tell if she's supposed to be a pig or a cow. Come on guys, which one is it? You have to tell me. Okay, I don't think they know either. In the game, the nanny is seen lurking in one of the first rooms before jump scaring the player, so I decided to make it so that the nanny is mainly found in dark areas as well. The nanny also moves quite slowly, similar to Sir Dadadoo, because this is how she's seen moving at first. But don't let this trick you again, because the nanny attacks you super quickly if you get too close, similar to her jump scare. I decided to make it so that if you kill the nanny, she drops a pork chop, and the reason I did that is because she looks like a pig. I'm sorry if she's a cow, I seriously can't tell. And overall, I think the nanny looks pretty good in game, but her body design just looks a little bit boring. So because of this, I'm going to give the nanny an 8 out of 10. The next character I'll make is Syringeon, and I'm gonna use a sniffer to make him because they both start with S. First, I'm gonna remove all the stuff we don't need, and I'm gonna turn his legs into feet like this, and we'll add a leg on top of the feet as well. Now let's start to add his neck like this, and we'll add his head on the top of his neck as well. Now let's start to give him some arms, and now we're gonna start coloring him in. First, I'm gonna color his entire body a bright pink color, and now let's give him a mouth like this, and we'll also start to give him some eyes on the top. Next, I'm gonna add his surgeon tools that he has on each of his hands, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Syringeon looks in game. This guy doesn't look that bad. I don't really know why he's turning like this though. This is definitely a problem. But other than that, Syringeon looks good. I especially like his face. It looks kind of funny. In the game, Syringeon is referred to as the surgeon, so I decided to make it so that he does surgery on you when he hits you. Okay, it's not actually surgery. He just freezes you and starts taking your hearts. I don't know how to make this guy an actual surgeon. Something I also just noticed is that Syringeon's arms aren't actually supposed to be in the air like this. His picture on the wall deceived me. If you kill Syringeon, he drops a beetroot, and the only reason I made him drop this random item is because it looks like a heart, and he is the surgeon. Overall, I don't think Syringeon turned out that bad, but there are a few things that are kind of weird. So because of this, I decided to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the naughty ones, and I'll use an endermite to make them because they are both kind of the same. So let's remove a few pieces like this. Next, I'm gonna change the shape of his body a little bit, and we'll give him a head on the top of his body. Now let's rotate the bottom of his body like this, and we'll start to give him a tail on the back right here. Next, I'm gonna add some ears on the top of his head. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Now it's time to give him some color. First, let's color his body this bluish color, and we'll color the inside of his ears purple. Now let's color his teeth bright white, and I'll actually change the color of his body because it's not supposed to be dark like this. Alright, I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the naughty ones look in game. Honestly, they pretty much look exactly the same as they do in game. The only thing that's really different is that we are seeing them in the light, which I'm not sure if that is even possible. The naughty ones are incredibly fast, as you can see, and this makes them actually pretty scary. Well, I don't know about scary, but they're sort of like a buff silverfish. The naughty ones also won't attack you when there's light around, but if you run into one of these guys in a cave, then you might be in trouble. I also gave the naughty ones a jumping attack animation, which is supposed to be like their jump scare, and if you manage to kill these guys, they drop an amethyst shard, and I don't really know why. I just picked it because it's purple. Overall, I think the naughty ones turned out exactly how they should have, so because of this, I'm going to give them a 10 out of 10 as well. The next character I'll make is Kittysaurus, and I'm gonna use a cat to make her because she is partially a cat. First, let's get rid of these legs, and we'll move these body parts and change the shape of her body. Next, we'll start to give her some feet down here, and we'll add some legs on top as well. Next, I'm gonna change the shape of her head as well. Next, I'm gonna give her some T-Rex arms like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Now let's add some color. First, I'm gonna color her body an orangish color. Now let's color her feet white, and let's give her some teeth as well, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Kittysaurus looks in game. As you can see, she is massive. She also kind of looks more like a dog than a cat, but I guess that's fine. She still looks scary either way. Similar to the naughty ones, Kittysaurus is also incredibly fast, which makes it basically impossible to escape her. Fortunately, this is Garten of Banban 6 though, so we don't have to worry about her attacking us. Since Kittysaurus is part cat, I decided to make it so that you can tame her, and I decided to make it so that you tame her with rotten flesh because it just seems like an item that would be used to tame her. If you tame Kittysaurus, you are also able to ride her, although I'm not really sure if this is the right place to be riding on top of her, but it's still better than some of the mobs have made, I guess. Overall, I think Kittysaurus looks pretty good, but she also looks a little bit like a dog. So because of this, I decided to give her a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Bittergiggle, and I'll use a pillager to make him. First, let's remove some of the stuff we don't need, and we'll change the shape of his legs, and we'll also change his arms. Now let's start to shape his head a little bit like this, and we'll just color his body fully green for now. Next, I'm gonna split his body into two colors by making this side purple. Now let's add these spots on the purple side of his body like this. Next, I'm gonna give him a mouth like this. Now finally, let's give him some eyes, and I think this is good. Let's add Bittergiggle Bittergiggle to the game. This is how Bittergiggle looks in game. I will say this is not one of my best mobs, but he is a pretty difficult character to make, as he has a lot of random parts extruding out of him for no reason. In the game, Bittergiggle tries to fight Sir Dadadoo, so I made it so that they fight in Minecraft as well. Although it's pretty much the same outcome, there's no way Bittergiggle will beat Sir Dadadoo. If you right-click on Bittergiggle, I gave him a laughing animation because he likes to tell jokes, and right-clicking him also gives him a random chance to tell a joke as well. I sure hope nothing bad happens because of that. If you kill Bittergiggle, he drops a clownfish because he's funny, and clowns are supposed to be funny, and overall I think Bittergiggle isn't the best looking mob, but I do like some of his features. So because of this, I'm going to give Bittergiggle a 7 out of 10. Next I made Tartabird, and I made him from a horse. You'll see why. I got rid of all this stuff, colored him blue, and then I added his wings. I added Tartabird to the game, and he actually looked pretty good, but I think there is something wrong with him. Yeah, for some reason he's kinda dirty, and water isn't fixing it. I figured out how to fix this, and he was actually looking really good, except for this one spot on his beak, but we'll ignore it. I decided to spawn a baby Tartabird, and this is what he looked like. I like how he just follows the big one around, just like in the game. You're even able to put him on the big one's back as well. Oh wait, I guess he hasn't tamed him yet. In the actual game, you have to ride Tartabird, so I decided to try that for myself. Why does he keep doing that when he kicks me off? It looks really weird. I'm honestly surprised with how perfect this looks. I mean, the legs look a little bit weird, but this looks really good. I'm even able to make Tartabird jump. This is insane. I decided to give Tartabird a 10 out of 10. Honestly, there was nothing bad about him at all. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Nabnaleena. I decided to make Nabnaleena from an iron golem. I colored her fully black, gave her a mouth, and finally I added her arms. Nabnaleena looks really good in game as well. The arms look kind of weird, but I think she's just asserting dominance. It's fine. Also, the legs are missing texture, but you didn't see that. This never happened. In the game, you have to inject Nabnaleena with some kind of chemicals to make her come to life, so I decided to try that in game. Yeah, she doesn't seem to be drinking it. I guess she isn't thirsty. Nabnaleena honestly looks pretty strong, so let's see if she can take out some pillagers. Okay, the pillagers don't really have a chance. They're getting destroyed. Yeah, Nabnaleena didn't take any damage, but we'll give her an iron ingot anyway. She deserves it. There isn't much to do with Nabnaleena, so I decided to make her ride Tartabird. Okay, I might have done that backwards, but honestly this is better. Tartabird's legs probably needed a break anyway, although I'm not sure if Nabnaleena is able to see anymore. I decided to give Nabnaleena a 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10, but I can't look past the bra pose. It's too cursed. Next, I made Hijacked Banban. I made him from a zombie. I changed the shape of his body, colored him red, and then I gave him some eyes. After that, I added his mouth, gave him some horns, and added his feet. I added Hijacked Banban to the game, and he was honestly looking pretty scary. He also looks like Venom, or maybe that's just me. I always say things like this, and then they look nothing like it. Let's spawn a baby Banban. This guy's kinda fast. This would actually be scary if it was the real zombie. I decided to spawn a real Banban, and then I tested which one of them is the best Banban. Banban has a sword, so he probably wins this. Yeah, Hijacked Banban didn't stand a chance. Banban destroyed him. I spawned an army of hijacked Banbans, and then I decided to get chased by them. Okay, he's not really that scary when he chases you at 0.1 miles per hour. The babies look kinda crazy though. I decided to give Hijacked Banban a 9 out of 10. He looks really good. I'm just disappointed that he lost to real Banban. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Tomataki and Chomataki. I hope that's how you say it. For these guys I used a wolf. First I made their shell, and then I added the chameleon. I forgot which one he is. And after that I added the other guy. I added them to the game and they honestly didn't look the best, yet somehow this one took me the longest to make. They're also not really the right size. I'm pretty sure these guys are huge in the game. But I mean, it doesn't look that bad, right? I decided to spawn a baby one of them and it just made it even worse. Now they are microscopic. In the game, Chomataki attacks you with his tongue and I'm not really sure how to make that in Minecraft. So instead I decided to feed him some steak because I'm guessing he uses his tongue while eating. Tomataki shoots cyan balls from his mouth, so yeah. They can't be making that sound. I feel bad. I decided to tame one of these guys and then I made them fight a hijacked Banban. Okay, Banban lost again. He can't keep taking L's like this. I decided to give Tomataki and Chomataki a 5 out of 10. They just look kinda bad. That's all. It's time for the next mob. Next I decided to make Mr. Kebab Man. And I made him from an Enderman because they're kinda built the same. I deleted everything, colored him gray, and then I gave him some arms. After that I added his eyes, put the bandage thing on the back, and gave him his party hats. I added Mr. Kebab Man to the game and he honestly wasn't looking that bad. I mean, I don't know if he was looking good, but he's definitely not bad. I like how when he walks, he actually looks good because I removed the legs. In the game, Mr. Kebab Man is supposed to mimic Banban, so I decided to see if he can take out Hijacked Banban as well. Come on, Hijacked Hijacked Banban, you got this one, no more L's. Okay, I'm done with Hijacked Banban, he's never winning a fight. I decided to visit the end to find more Mr. Kebabmans, and then I did what I always do. It's kinda scary how they just like hover to me. I think I made a little too many of them angry. I decided to give Mr. Kebabman a 7 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, but he also doesn't look that good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Stinger Flynn. I decided to make him from an Elder Guardian. I removed all this stuff, colored him orange, and then I added the spot around his eye. Next I added his eye, gave him some legs, and then extended the legs out a bit. Stinger Flynn actually looks pretty good this time around. He's a lot better than the old one I had. He is also a lot bigger because apparently Stinger Flynn isn't tiny. Since Stinger Flynn is jumping around like this, I decided to spawn him in the water. Bro was just going crazy on the squids. What did the squids do to him? He honestly looks pretty good in the water. There is one thing wrong though. His legs are definitely supposed to move, but I don't really know how to do that, so it's fine. Stinger Flynn was driving when they were all going to the beach, so I decided to see if he can drive a car. Okay, I don't really think he's able to drive the car. He's not moving. He's also way bigger than the car. You can't even really see it. He doesn't really want to get in a boat either. I guess this guy doesn't like vehicles. In the game, you also get to play as Stinger Flynn, so I decided to give that one a try. He's kind of just vibing. Not much is really getting done. This is boring. I decided to give Stinger Flynn a 9 out of 10. If his legs moved, it would be a 10, but unfortunately, that's never gonna happen. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Queen Bouncelia. I used a Hoglin to make her. I colored her body purple, gave her a face, and then added her wand. I added her to the game, and her head was looking kind of broken, so I decided to fix that. Okay, that's still a little messed up, but it's good enough. Also, her feet are both on the same leg, but I'm not fixing that. Only one fix per mob. Since Queen Bouncelia was made from a Hoglin, I decided to go find her in the Nether. I'm not usually a fan of these guys because they like to hit you from far away, but I guess for Queen Bouncelia, I'll make an exception. I decided to spawn an army of Queen Bouncelias, and then I made them all chase me. Hopefully this doesn't happen in the actual game, because these guys are kind of scary. Also, their legs look kind of funny. I'm going to give Queen Bouncelia an 8 out of 10. Other than the broken stuff, she looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made an Opilichick. I used a parrot to make the Opilichick, and I decided to make the shiny one, or whatever you would call it. You probably wouldn't call it shiny, it's not a Pokemon. The Opilichicks are so tiny in game, and they actually kind of sound like the chicks from the actual game. I'm pretty sure dodo birds can't fly, so that's kind of a problem, but other than that, they look great. In the game, you have to abduct all the Opilichicks and move them to their beds, so I decided to try that in Minecraft as well. What? Who is this? Where did the Opilichick go? That was interesting, but I mean it worked. I can also spawn a baby Opilibird, and it kind of looks like the default Opilichick texture. Although this one isn't as cool, all I can really do is feed it a bunch of seeds. Oh, that's not an Opilichick anymore. In Garden of Banban 2, there are 6 Opilichicks, and in the first game, you feed Opilibird 6 eggs, so there's definitely some interesting birth methods going on there, so let's test to see if this is true. Wait, it actually worked. I decided to give the Opilichick a 10 out of 10. Overall, it looks really good, and you are even able to keep one of these as a pet. Wait, my bad, Opilibird, I didn't know. Next, I'm going to make Slow Celine. Since Slow is literally in her name, I made her from a turtle. I gave her a big green shell, added her long neck, and then I gave her some bright white teeth. After that, I added her 2 large eyes, and I drew a swirl on each side of her shell. I think she turned out pretty good. The eyes and the mouth are really creepy, just like in the actual game. Let's see a baby Slow Celine. I like how it's just a really small version of the regular one. In the actual game, Slow Celine chases you down a hallway, so I decided to add that as well. Okay, this is actually kind of scary. She's just slowly approaching. She is also not looking away, so I guess I have to keep standing still. Because I made Slow Celine from a turtle, I can also put her in the water and she will be fine. Okay, she's not really that slow anymore. Imagine going to the beach and there was just a massive snail swimming around in the water. Probably happens in Florida. I decided to give Slow Celine a 9 out of 10. She looks really good in game, but she's kind of boring in general. It's time for the next mob. In the game, there are 7 different Fiddles crew members, so I made all of those next. I used a Strider to make them all, and first I made brown Fiddles. This is the actual color used in the game. I don't really know how this is brown. Next I made Cyan Fiddles, and there is a giant version of him in the game, but I don't know how to make that, so instead I just made a giant stack of Cyan Fiddles. I'm sure the ones on the top are fine. Next I made Emerald Fiddles, and this is him in game, and then I made Orange Fiddles. Orange Fiddles only has 1 tooth. I wonder what happened to the other one. Pink Fiddles has 2 teeth, and apparently he is dead in the game, so I'm just gonna have to... Next I made Red Fiddles, and he is my favorite because his eyes just stay like this forever. Like, how is he able to see anything? Here's me riding a Red Fiddles as well. He honestly looks better than the actual Strider. The last Fiddles is Yellow Fiddles, who apparently has a pirate-like appearance because of his missing eye. So cause of this, I am kidnapping him in a boat. I'm going to give the Fiddles a 63 out of 10. There's 7 of them, so they get 7x the score. Next I made Sheriff Toadster. I made him a frog because that's probably what he is. I changed the shape of his body, colored him the same color as the McDonald's villain, and made his weird shaped head. Next I added his teeth, and I gave him his badge on his chest. Finally I colored in his belly, and gave him this little hat on top of his eye. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't really look like he's smiling. Instead he looks like the bully from Arthur. His arms are also completely broken. I'm pretty sure I attached them to his legs. Sheriff Toadster probably fights crime, so I'm going to steal No Pillow Chick in front of him and see what he does. He doesn't appear to be doing too much. He is jumping really high though. He definitely made it through police training. Maybe an army of Toadsters will stop me. I already knew they wouldn't. I don't know why I did this. Oh, I guess Sheriff Toadster is hungry. I'm going to give Sheriff Toadster a 7 out of 10. He looks kind of weird, honestly. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Nab Nab. I made Nab Nab from a spider because he kind of looks like a spider. I gave him some long legs and arms, changed the shape of his body, and then I colored him fully blue. After that I gave him some teeth, then I added his tongue, and finally I gave him 3 eyes. Okay, I don't think his legs are supposed to look like that. I fixed his legs, and then he looked a lot better in game. Well, I don't know about better, but putting him sideways actually makes him look scary. In the game, you get chased by Nab Nab, so I decided to try that in Minecraft. Yeah, this is definitely not something you want chasing you. It just looks so weird because in the actual game, he's on the roof and not on the ground. Nab Nab is also supposed to have a birthday hat, and I didn't even notice, so we'll just pretend I added a hat. Also, if you can't tell, Nab Nab is Ban Ban spelt backwards, so because of that, you should eat Dirkbus. I decided to get Sheriff Toadster to lock him up for good. He sure won't be escaping this jail, especially not through the vents. I decided to give Nab Nab a 6 out of 10. He looks kinda cursed. I'm sorry, Nab Nab, I meant 10, I swear. Next, I decided to make Zolphius. I don't know what Zolphius is, but he's big, so I made him from a ghast. Zolphius is just a circle with a face that looks like it was drawn by a 1-year-old, so I decided to do that. The only difference is I'm not 1 years old, I think. I added Zolphius to the game, and it kinda reminds me of when I made Ambush. They look very similar. I would have to say that Zolphius is scarier though. It's something about the amazing art skill required to make his face. I decided to visit the Nether to find a wild Zolphius. He kinda looks like a ping pong paddle, so let's see who will win a game of ping pong, me or Zolphius. I don't think he wanted to play. I wonder what it will look like if I fill the whole sky with Zolphiuses. Yeah, this is a pretty good Minecraft experience. I literally cannot hear anything. I'm going to give Zolphius an 8 out of 10. He's a big flying drawing. How bad could he be? It's time for the next mob. Next, I'm making Mini Josh. It is unknown if Mini Josh will be hostile, but I'm assuming he is, so I made him from a silverfish because they are small and hostile. I deleted all of these things, added his legs, made his body bigger, and then I gave him some arms. After that, I added his head, colored him fully green, and then I added his eyes. Mini Josh looks like he's sad, so I gave him a sad mouth, and then I added him to the game. I was surprised with how he looks in game. All this waddling looks pretty weird. Also, none of his body parts move, which makes him look pretty bad. I decided to spawn Mini Josh with Jumbo Josh, and what happened next was shocking. I'm just kidding, you probably expected this. Next, I spawned an army of Mini Joshes, and then I made them fight Jumbo Josh. This is like a Mr. Beast video, 100 kids versus 1 adult. Mini Joshes could actually win this one, there's a lot of them. Never mind, Jumbo Josh seems to be invincible. I decided to give Mini Josh a 5 out of 10, he's kinda missing a lot of things, like moving arms and legs. It's time for the next mob. You're probably wondering where Jumbo Josh came from. I used the Warden to make Jumbo Josh, and I gave him a big head, a creepy mouth, and then I added some green texture all around him. Jumbo Josh is massive in game, and he actually looks really good as the Warden. Jumbo Josh also tells kids to eat fruits and vegetables to become strong like him, but honestly, I wouldn't let him near your kids. I went to the deep dark to see Jumbo Josh emerge from the ground, and then I fed him some fruit and vegetables like he says. Unfortunately, Jumbo Josh didn't want to eat the food, and instead he wanted to eat me. I would say that I killed him to try and make myself look cool, but let's be honest, we all know what happened. I'm going to give Jumbo Josh a 10 out of 10, and that has nothing to do with him holding me hostage. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Ban Ban. I made Ban Ban from a wither skeleton. I colored him fully red, gave him some eyes and a mouth, and then I added his big tongue. I then gave him his birthday hats on his head, and finally I changed his arms a little bit. Apparently changing his arms a little bit didn't matter though, because they fully disappeared in the game. Oh wait, they're inside of him. I decided to fix his arms, and this is how Ban Ban looks in game. I decided to visit the Nether to try and find Ban Ban myself. Ignore the Netherrack, I don't know how this got here. When you think of it, Ban Ban is a devil, so he's supposed to be in the Nether. Wait guys, I was just kidding, I didn't say that. To make things a little more cursed, I decided to replace all the heads on the Wither with the Ban Ban heads. Now let's see who will win, the Ban Ban, Wither, or Jumbo Josh. Why is Jumbo Josh not fighting back? Okay, now he's going crazy. Alright, Jumbo Josh couldn't do anything, Ban Ban was flying. I decided to give Ban Ban a 6 out of 10, he doesn't look that great. It's time for the next mob. Next, let's make Banbaleena. I used a wither skeleton for Ban Ban, so I made Banbaleena from a skeleton. I copy-pasted all of Ban Ban's body parts onto her, and then I colored her fully white. Next, I gave her some eyes and drew her mouth, and then finally I added her pink bow on her horn thing. I forgot Banbaleena also had a problem with her arms, so I had to fix it again. This is how Banbaleena looks in game. She kinda looks like a weird bunny. I then spawned a Banbaleena army and made them fight Jumbo Josh. Okay, they're all just fighting each other. Yeah, Jumbo Josh wins this easily. Banbaleena is cool, but look at me spawning a bunch of crows. I then made Ban Ban fight Banbaleena to see who would win. I'm sorry, Banbaleena, I kind of already knew what would happen. I decided to give Banbaleena a 5 out of 10. It's not because I don't like her, it's just because I don't like her. Next, I made Opilabird. I used a chicken to make Opilabird, and I gave her a long neck, some purple wings, and a yellow beak. I then added these creepy looking eyes to her and added her to the game. Opilabird actually looks pretty good as well, but the baby, not so much. At least I don't have to worry about her chasing me though, because she's a chicken. Well, she'll chase me, but she's not gonna do anything, I think. In the game, Opilabird is supposed to fall into the ball pit, so I decided to test if she would survive a massive fall in Minecraft. She made it to the ground without taking damage. There is a minigame where you have to feed Opilabird 6 eggs, so I added that to the game as well. Kind of. I tried to swap Jumbo Josh and Opilabird's textures around to make a joke, but this just happened. Opilabird says laughter is the best medicine, so I'm asking you to laugh at that joke. Do it for her, not for me. I decided to give Opilabird an 8 out of 10 because she can't harm me for my opinion. Okay, really? Next I made Captain Fiddles. I made Captain Fiddles from a Strider. First I shrunk his legs and made his body smaller. Next I colored him fully blue and I gave him a mouth and some eyes. Then finally I added some arms and some hands. Captain Fiddles actually looks pretty good in game, other than the fact that his legs aren't attached. Also, he's a really good method of transportation. Okay, well he's not that good, he's kinda slow honestly. You can even spawn a baby Captain Fiddles for whatever reason. His legs are even more broken, but it's fine. It is said that Captain Fiddles is known for his love of music, so I decided to play a song for him. This was really bad. It's supposed to be the Rickroll song. Sorry. To test if Captain Fiddles is a real captain, I decided to give him control of a boat. I'm going to give Captain Fiddles a 9 out of 10 because there isn't that much wrong with him. I added every monster from Rainbow Friends Chapter 2 to Minecraft. First I made Cyan, and I used a Ravager because they look exactly the same. I removed this stuff, colored her cyan, and gave her some eyes. I added Cyan to the game and she was actually looking pretty good. Oh wait, she's attacking all the villagers. I don't really want her to be doing that. That also made me notice that her legs look really bad when she's running, but other than that, she looks fine. She also has a really big shadow. That looks kind of funny. In the game, you get chased by Cyan, so I decided to see how that looks in Minecraft. Cyan is really fast in the actual game, and she's also pretty fast in Minecraft too, so that's pretty accurate. Okay, this is actually kind of scary. She looks really hungry. Oh wow, she also does a lot of damage. I can't let her hit me again. That would be bad. Since Cyan does so much damage, I decided to see if she can beat an iron golem in a fight. Okay, I don't even have to use the stick. They're already mad. Come on, Cyan. You can beat this guy easily. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. It looks like the iron golem can beat Cyan easily. Oh wait, why did she drop a saddle? That's kind of weird. I decided to give Cyan a 9 out of 10. She looks really good, and her chase in Minecraft is really accurate. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Yellow, and I decided to use a Hoglin to make him. I shrunk his whole body, colored him yellow, and gave him his propeller thing on his back. I added Yellow to the game, and I can't really tell if he looks good or bad. To be fair, Yellow is quite hard to make, so this honestly doesn't look that bad. He also has a big shadow just like Cyan. That's really weird. Since Hoglins can't live in the overworld, I decided to go to the nether to find a wild yellow. Okay, here's a group of yellows that I definitely didn't spawn in. I found them naturally. Oh yeah, there's also a baby yellow, but I think something is wrong with him. Let me know in the comments if you can tell what's wrong with him. It's kind of hard to see. Since yellow is supposed to be able to fly, I decided to see if I can make yellow fly in Minecraft as well. Okay, now you might think hoglins can't fly, but there's actually a secret in Minecraft where if you look at the ground for 3 seconds and then look all the way up as fast as you can make all the hoglins start to fly. It's definitely not a command, it's just a secret feature. I decided to give yellow an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, he's just really hard to make. It's time for the next mob. Next I made pink, and I made pink from a zombie. I bent his legs, colored him pink, and gave him some eyes. Finally I colored in his eyes, gave him a mouth, and then I added some small cheeks. I added pink to the game and he was burning. Okay, I should probably fix that. When pink is not burning, he actually looks pretty good. There is a slight problem with his legs, they aren't really connected, but other than that, I'm not seeing anything wrong with him. Since pink was supposed to be added to the game, I decided to make him battle cyan and yellow to get a spot in the game. First, we'll do cyan versus pink. Okay, that was kind of embarrassing. I don't think he even hit her. What about yellow versus pink? Okay, this fight is actually looking a little close. And pink still died. I guess we know why he was benched from both chapters. I decided to spawn a baby pink to see what he looks like, and he looked about the same as the big one. I will say the baby one runs a lot faster than the big one though. This guy is going crazy. I decided to give pink a 9 out of 10. He honestly turned out pretty good, other than his legs. That's the only problem. It's time for the next mob. Next we'll make orange, and we will make him from a wolf. Let's change the shape of his tail, and we'll rotate his body. Now let's give him some arms, and we'll give him some teeth. Okay, these are way too big. That looks better. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys see the problem here. That should be good enough. Okay, his head definitely does not work though. I guess wolves bend their head a lot. Let's spawn a baby orange. It's the same thing with a bigger head. Let's try to tame orange. Yeah, this is perfectly normal. Nothing is wrong here. Now he just has a big red square and his tail is broken. Let's spawn an army of oranges, and let's see them take down a skeleton. Okay, the skeleton got eaten in like 2 seconds. Come on, orange, take down the warden. Oh no, that was fast. Alright, I'm going to give orange a 6 out of 10. He was kinda cursed. It's time for the next mob. Next, we are going to make purple, and we are going to make him from a frog. Let's delete all this stuff, and we'll change the shape of his body. Now let's color him purple. Now let's extend out his head, and we'll make it a little bit round. Now finally, let's give him some eyes, and we'll add some black pupils inside. Out of all the mobs to break, somehow this one isn't broken. Surprisingly, I think he looks really good. Okay, these vines need to get out of the way. What about a baby purple? Oh yeah, frogs don't have babies. Let's see purple eat this slime. Never mind, he's not hungry. Oh, never mind, he just attacked him. He looks so weird when he's swimming. Let's spawn an army of purples. Wow, purple jumps so high. The noise they make is really interesting. Let's see if purple can take down orange. Okay, I don't think purple knows how to fight. Let's spawn a bunch of slimes. Okay, they're all too big. I love how there's no animation. The slime just travels to their mouth. Alright, I'm going to give purple a 10 out of 10. I thought he looked really funny. It's time for the next mob. Next I made red, and we are going to make him from a strider. Let's remove his hair, and we'll shrink his body. Now let's make him a bit shorter, and we'll color his head red, and let's color his pupils black, and finally we'll give him a couple shoes, and I think that looks good. Let's see him in game. Okay, something is definitely wrong with his legs, but other than that, I think he looks good. Oh god, why does it take so long for his legs to turn? Let's go to the nether, and here we have a red walking on some lava. Okay, seriously, what happened to his legs? It's like they're backwards or something. I mean, now they're on the right side, but somehow that made it worse. Okay, that's close enough. We're just gonna ignore that. Let's ride a red. Wait, this is the wrong fishing rod. Okay, this looks weird like it usually does. Let's see a baby red. Okay, baby red just has no legs. Let's spawn an army of reds. Okay, red army, follow me. Isn't this weird? Because red is supposed to tell me what to do. Alright, I'm going to give red an 8 out of 10. He looked pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make green, and we will make him from the warden. Let's shrink his body and head. Now let's color him fully green, and we'll color the back of his mouth black. Next, let's give him a bunch of white teeth, and we'll copy these to the top. Next, we'll extend out his eyes, and we'll make his eyes circular. Now, finally, let's draw his pupils, and that looks good. Let's see it in game. I don't know how I feel about this one. There's something about the way he moves that is very terrifying. He's also very tall. I'm not sure if that's accurate. I'm not going to lie, he kind of looks like a cactus monster. Let's find green in the deep dark. Of course, we have to see him emerge from the ground. I'm not gonna lie, that might be scarier than the warden. I wonder how this thing looks when it's angry. We'll give him a sheep that he can't hit. I'm sorry, sheep. Okay, that wasn't that cool. Let's spawn an army of greens, and let's see if the Flash can beat them. Oh, he's running at him. Yeah, the Flash will not win that. I give the green rainbow friend a 10 out of 10. He's honestly scarier than the warden. It's time for the next mob. Next, we are going to make blue, and we are going to make him from an iron golem. Let's make his arms a bit smaller, and we'll do the same for his legs. Now let's change the shape of his body, and we'll color him fully blue. Now let's add his his crown, and we'll color it yellow. Next, we'll add the spiky parts on top, and we'll add his eyes, and let's put the circle inside this one, and we'll add the X to the other one. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll put the drool on the side, and I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. That looks pretty good, I think. Let's see if Blue can beat Gordon Ramsay easily. Let's see if Blue can beat Thor and Gordon Ramsay. Still too easy. Let's see if Blue can beat Sully. Yeah, Blue literally had no chance. Let's spawn an army of blues. Oh no. Oh god, this is bad. I think I spawned a little too many. There's so many of them, they can't even move. Sully's not even fighting back. He knows he's doomed. Never mind. Wow, he actually almost beat them. Well, he almost beat like 3% of them. I'm going to give Blue a 10 out of 10. I think he looks perfect. I added every fan-made Garten of Banban monster to Minecraft. First, I made Admiral Krusty, and I'm using a spider for him because crabs are kind of like spiders. I deleted these things, colored him red, and then I added his claws. I added Admiral Krusty to the game, and he was honestly looking pretty good. I think this is probably one of my best looking mobs I've made so far. This actually looks a lot like him. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to have boots on his back legs though, so that's not good. But other than that, he looks great. I decided to spawn an army of Admiral Krusties, and then I got them all to chase me. I don't know why, but this actually looks kind of scary, and I'm not just saying that. It's something about the way their legs move. These are probably just the crabs getting revenge for being locked in a tank at the grocery store. Since Admiral Krusty is a water mob, I decided to see if he can beat a guardian in a fight. Come on, Admiral Krusty, you're the king of the water. You got this. Okay, this fight is taking a really long time. What is going on? And after all that, he still didn't win. I guess Admiral Krusty isn't the king of the water. He lost to a regular guardian, not even an elder guardian. I decided to give Admiral Krusty a 10 out of 10. I really like how he looks. He's one of my favorite mobs so far. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Mr. Grimm, and I used a warden to make him because I felt like it. I don't know why. I changed the shape of his body, colored him black, and added some ear things to the side of his head. Next, I gave him a mouth, added some eyes, and gave him teeth. Okay, I don't know why, but he looked really weird before, so I changed everything, and now he looks a lot better. I added Mr. Grimm to the game, and he actually looked kind of scary, but not in a good way. I don't know why, but this dude kind of looks like Santa. I think it's his mouth. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be a beard. I decided to go to the deep dark, and then I made a Mr. Grimm emerge from the ground. Mr. Grimm is a magician, so it makes sense for him to do that. It's honestly a pretty good magic trick. I never even noticed this before, but his animations don't really fit him. It kind of looks broken. I decided to spawn an army of Mr. Grimms, and then I did the usual. Oh no, they're angry. Why do these guys look so weird when they chase you? Like, look at their head. What is going on? Maybe I should have connected their head to the body, because that looks really weird. I decided to give Mr. Grimm a 7 out of 10. I'm not really sure if he looks good or not. He looks kind of weird. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Nighty Boo, and I used a phantom to make him because a bat is a little too small. I changed the shape of his body, colored him green, and then I added his ears. Next, I added his hat, gave him some eyes, and then I made his other face on the bottom. I added Nighty Boo to the game, and I honestly can't really tell if he looks good or not. It's very hard to see his faces. Okay, I guess that looks pretty good. I'm not sure if he really matches the actual Nighty Boo though. I also don't know why he has these particles on his wings. I guess I'm not up to date on phantom lore. All I know about phantoms is that they're very annoying. Since phantoms like to fight, let's see if Nighty Boo can beat Admiral Krusty. Okay, I'm not really sure if this is supposed to happen. He's just flying up in the air. Okay, I guess Nighty Boo doesn't want to fight. He only fights humans. I spawned an army of Nighty Boos, and then I tested to see how fast they can kill me. Okay, why is it actually kind of hard to dodge them when there's this many? I must have not slept for weeks, because this many phantoms is absurd. Wait, I think I found a way to beat them. They can't catch me. I decided to give Nighty Boo an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but he doesn't really look like the actual Nighty Boo. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Patched Willy, and I didn't really know what to use for this one, so I just used the Ender Dragon. I deleted all this stuff, shaped him into a worm, and then I added his tongue. After that, I colored him in, gave him some spikes, and added all of his eyes. I added Patched Willy to the game, and I don't really know what happened to him. How did he get this tail and neck? That definitely wasn't there on Blockbench. It would definitely make him look a lot better though, if only the tail had purple on it too. I will say this guy kind of reminds me of when I made PJ Pugapillar. They're just so similar because of the stripes. There isn't really much you can do with Patched Willy other than wait for him to perch. That actually looks kind of good when he turns around, other than the parts with both colors. And he also looks like he's doing the worm when he's perched, so that definitely fits him. Since there isn't anything to do with Patched Willy, I decided to see if Mr. Grimm can kill him. Okay, I don't really know if he knows where Patched Willy is. He doesn't seem to be attacking him. Yeah, I can't even make them fight with the wand. This is unfortunate. I decided to give Patched Willy a 5 out of 10. He doesn't really look right, and he's also really boring. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Admiral Krusty's crew member, and I made him from an iron golem because he looks kind of buff. I changed his body, colored him blue, and then I gave him new arms. After that, I added his beak, gave him an eye patch, and then I added his other eye. I added him to the game, and he didn't really look that good. I mean, he doesn't really look that bad bad either, but he just doesn't look like the guy in the picture. He looks way less scary. He also kind of looks like that bean guy. I don't know what his name is. Since this guy doesn't have a name, or at least I don't think he does, I'm going to call him Crewmate Chicken, because he kind of looks like a chicken, if that's what he's supposed to be. Since a Guardian killed Admiral Krusty earlier, I decided to see if Crewmate Chicken could avenge him. Okay, he easily killed him. I see why this guy is on Admiral Krusty's crew, but since he's only a crew member, let's see if he can beat Admiral Krusty in a fight. Okay, he can easily do that. I don't see why this guy isn't the captain. I decided to give Crewmate Chicken an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look perfect, but he also isn't that bad. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Doom Doom, and we'll use a Ravager to make him. I shrunk his legs, changed his arms, and then I shaped his head. Next I colored him yellow, gave him some hair, and added his eyes. I added Doom Doom to the game, and he was actually looking pretty good. He looks really angry, and I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a bull, so that's probably accurate. Bulls are always angry for some reason. Okay, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be moving a lot faster though. The actual Doom Doom charges at the speed of light, but maybe it's because he has no one to charge at yet, so let's get him to charge me. I think I'm supposed to be holding out red wool to make him mad. Okay, I was right, now he's a lot faster. Also, his head is really glitchy, but we'll just ignore that. I already said he looked good. I decided to spawn a Smiley Miley, and then I tested to see who would win in a fight. I don't really think Smiley Miley has any chance. Doom Doom is huge. Look at his head when he attacks, it looks so weird. Yeah, Doom Doom barely took any damage. I guess he's just too OP. I decided to give Doom Doom a 9 out of 10. I really liked how he turned out. He's a scary looking bull. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Hungry Tammy, and we'll make him from a wither. I removed all this stuff, shrunk his head, and then I colored him blue. Next I added his tongue, gave him some eyes, and added his arms. I added Hungry Tammy to the game, and he was actually looking pretty scary. He probably shouldn't be going on a rampage like this, but I guess it fits his character. Also, his legs shouldn't be floating. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to walk. But other than that list of things that are wrong, he actually looks pretty good. Oh wait, there's also another problem. Apparently his head isn't connected. Since Hungry Tammy is probably really hungry, it says it in his name, I decided to give him some food next. Okay, I don't think he wants to eat the food. What about in living form? Okay, that's much better. Now he's eating. I decided to spawn a Doom Doom, and then I made him fight Hungry Tammy to see who would win. Okay, this is probably the most unfair fight yet. Doom Doom has no way of attacking him. He's taking a lot of hits though. He seems pretty strong. Rip Doom Doom, but if you think of it, he is just a giant cow, so that's probably why he lost. I decided to give Hungry Tammy a 9 out of 10. He looks really good, but his legs shouldn't be floating. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Zolflina, and we already have Zolfius, so we're just gonna use this. I colored her pink, added some outlines on her eyes and mouth, and then I gave her a bow. I added Zolflina to the game, and she was honestly looking pretty good. It's kind of hard for her not to look good though. She's not really a hard monster to make. I will say that her eyes are a little messed up though. I don't remember it looking like this in Blockbench. Also, I don't know why every time I try to look at her, she looks away. It's really annoying. Since Hungry Tammy is in the screenshot with Zolflina, I decided to make them fight. Okay, I don't think Hungry Tammy is able to fight, and also Zolflina's fireballs do no damage, so this fight will literally go on forever. Or maybe they're just friends and it's supposed to be like this. I went to the nether to find a wild Zolflina, and she honestly looks a lot better in the nether. Her color seems to blend in a lot better here. And then I spawned an army of Zolflinas, and I made them attack me. I don't know why I do this every time. They're just bullying me at this point. I decided to give Zolflina an 8 out of 10. She looks how she's supposed to, but I don't know how much I like her. Next I made Smiley Miley, and I used an Enderman because she's really tall. I changed her body, colored her blue, and finally I gave her some eyes. Smiley Miley ended up looking really good in game. Well, her face is a little creepy, but I'm still calling it good. Oh, her legs also don't seem to be attached when she walks, but it's fine. She still looks good. Since I made her from an Enderman, I decided to look her in the eyes, and then this happened. Okay, I think there is something wrong with her head, but I can't really tell what. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, please stop. I decided to go to the end to find some more Smiley Mileys, and then I obviously got them to chase me. When will I stop getting mobs to chase me? Probably never. I decided to give Smiley Miley an 8 out of 10. She looks good, but she was a little broken. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Sharky Klee, and I used a warden to make him. First I changed his body, then I colored him black, and finally I added the fins on his head. I added Sharky Klee to the game, and he actually ended up looking pretty scary, which is good because I made him from a warden. I decided to go to the deep dark to find Sharky Klee, and then I watched him emerge from the ground. I feel like this guy should be the actual warden. He seems to fit the job perfectly. I spawned an army of Sharky Klees, and then I got them all to chase me. What a nice day to go for a swim. I hope there aren't any sharks out here. Wait, where did they go? Oh, there they are. I went too far. I probably should have stayed away though. This isn't looking good. I decided to give Sharky Klee a 10 out of 10. He honestly looks really good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Slime Rancher, and I used a slime to make him because it's in his name. First I made him bigger, then I colored him a different turned green, and finally I gave him some eyes. I've never remade a slime before, so hopefully this works. Oh, it actually worked. I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect him to be this big. I think this is the biggest mob I've made yet. Oh, I guess we'll ignore the back here. I didn't realize that would happen. Mojang should change the real slimes to this guy. If he was in the game, I would never enter a super flat world again. I spawned an army of slime ranchers, and it was actually pretty cool because of the different sizes of slimes. I feel like the small one is the size I thought it would be. I also spawned a really big slime rancher, and this looks like something from a really bad horror movie. Pro is terrorizing the city. I decided to see if Slime Rancher could beat Smiley Miley because I honestly didn't know. Okay, it looks like Slime Rancher just doesn't attack. That's unfortunate. And the babies don't want to avenge him either. RIP. I decided to give Slime Rancher a 10 out of 10. He looked really good, especially the massive one. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Sad Seth, and I decided to use a wither skeleton for this one. I changed the shape of his body, colored him red, and then I gave him some extra arms. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I like this guy that much. The bottom eyes kind of look out of place, and also the sword he is holding just shouldn't be there. Actually, I can get rid of the sword. I forgot. It doesn't make him much better though. You're not even able to see some of his arms. Also, when he walks, his arms go through his body. That's great. Okay, I'm just hating. It's time to move on. Let's see if Sad Seth can beat Smiley Miley in a fight. I honestly think Sad Seth should win this one because he is a wither. Okay, it appears I'm wrong. Smiley Miley is just built different. I'm sorry, Sad Seth, but I gotta do it. You let me down. I decided to give Sad Seth a 6 out of 10. He looks fine, but he's just too broken. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Froggy Quack, and I decided to make him from an iron golem. First I changed his body, next I colored him green, and finally I added his head on the top. Okay, he actually looks a lot better than I thought he would. I thought for sure the head on top would look weirder. I will say the iron golem animations actually fit him pretty well too. Nothing is broken. But I don't know, he's kind of a weird looking monster in general, so I'm not gonna say he looks perfect. I decided to spawn a Sharky Klee, and then both of them started fighting before I even did anything. I thought these guys would be friends. I wasn't trying to make them fight. I decided to spawn 5 Froggy Quacks, and then I made them all fight Sharky Klee for revenge. I'm not gonna lie, I still don't know if these guys can win. They're kind of getting destroyed. Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good. Come on, Froggy Quack. Okay, I guess 6 Froggy Quacks isn't enough to take out Sharky Klee. I decided to give Froggy Quack an 8 out of 10. He didn't look that bad, but he wasn't the best either. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Whaley Bow. I made him from a pillager. I shrunk his limbs, colored him blue, and then I gave him some eyes. I added Whaley Bow to the game, and he seemed kind of scared. Like, why is he just aiming his bow at me? Oh, it's probably because Sharky Klee is right there and sharks eat whales. But honestly, I can't really tell if this guy looks good or bad. Like, he looks like the picture, so that's good. But he also kind of looks like a weird cartoon character, and I'm not sure if he's supposed to be like that. I decided to spawn an army of Whaley Bows, and then I spawned 1 Froggy Quack to see if they can kill him. Alright, Whaley Bow already lost to the shark, but can he beat the frog? Okay, I'm not really sure if they can do it. They're just shooting each other instead of him. He seems to be taking damage really fast though, so it's possible that they could win. No way, the whales actually did it. Maybe they aren't so bad after all. I decided to give Whaley Bow an 8 out of 10. It would have been lower, but I raised it because they defeated Froggy Quack. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Toxic Gazer, and I made him from a witch because they like to throw poison. I changed his arms a bit, gave him a longer neck, and then I colored him green. Next I gave him an eye, and finally I added these weird things that hang off his face. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this guy. His face looks kind of weird. I think it's the things that are hanging off his head. They don't look anything like the actual monster. I will say the rest of him looks pretty accurate though. Since Toxic Gazer is toxic, let's see him throw a bottle of poison at me. That's not poison, that's slowness. Oh wait, there we go. That was kind of rude. Don't worry, I got him back. Wait, why is he drinking Zolphius juice? What is going on? I decided to spawn a Whaley Bow, and then I made them fight to see who would win. This is such a weird fight because neither of them can melee, but it looks like Toxic Gazer is gonna lose. He seems to have no interest in the fight anymore. Okay, this just isn't ending. I guess it's a tie. I decided to give Toxic Gazer a 6 out of 10. I didn't really like the way he looked. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Chili. I decided to use a creeper for Chili. First I removed his head, next I colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. After that I added his eye, gave him some teeth, and finally I added his horns. I added Chili to the game, and he actually looked really good. I kind of expected this guy to look bad because he looks really goofy in general, but he might be one of my favorites so far. I will say that his red nose is really bothering me though. It makes him look like a clown. Since Chili is a creeper, I decided to see a supercharged Chili next. Okay, the charge isn't really meant for him. This is kind of cursed. I decided to spawn a Toxic Gazer, and then I tested to see if a regular Chili can kill him. Okay, he actually survived, and I respect it, honestly. He just stood there and took the blast. He didn't even try to run. I decided to give Chili a 10 out of 10. I don't know why, but I really like him. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Evil Zolphius. I already have Zolphius, so I just removed his old face, added some white eyes, and gave him a way scarier mouth. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure regular Zolphius is evil already, so this guy must be a menace. I'm scared of what he'll do to me for even looking at him, but I will say he actually looks really good. I think the red under his eyes made him look a lot better. This also reminds me of some of the Doors monsters I made because a lot of them look like this. I decided to go to the Nether to find an evil Zolphius, and then I decided to have a ping pong match with him. Okay, that wasn't really fair. He was stuck in the ground. I spawned an army of evil Zolphiuses, and then I decided to see how long it would take them to kill me. Okay, off to a good start. They already hit me. This looks like something you would find in your house at 3 a.m. Okay, I'm dead, but that actually took a while. These guys kind of suck. I decided to give evil Zolphius an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but I think I prefer normal Zolphius. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Sandy Jax, and I used a frog to make him because why not? I got rid of all this stuff, expanded his body, and then I colored him brown. I added Sandy Jax to the game, and I'm not gonna lie, he was looking kind of strange. This guy looks kind of like a Diglett with a crown, and I don't know why, but he also looks like some kind of Burger King mascot. Oh, and he could also look like Mr. Potato Head, I guess. At least he can jump high. That is something good about him. I decided to spawn a baby Sandy Jax, which isn't a real thing, and then I spawned a tiny slime rancher for him to eat. Wow, he ate that thing instantly. I guess he was hungry. I decided to give Sandy Jax a 5 out of 10. I don't really like him. He looks weird. Next, I made Hunky Jake, and I used a warden. I changed the shape of his body, colored him pink, and then I added his hat. I added Hunky Jake to the game, and he was actually looking pretty good. Okay, maybe his animations don't really match him, but if he isn't moving, he looks fine. I also just noticed that his head keeps going into his body, but unfortunately, it's gonna stay like that. Since Hunky Jake looks really strong, let's see if he can beat an Iron Golem. Okay, this was stupid. He obviously can beat an Iron Golem. He's a warden. Since Hunky Jake is a warden, I decided to go find him in the deep dark. Oh, that actually looks pretty good. I was expecting the animation to be broken. I decided to spawn an army of Hunky Jakes, and then I watched them all chase me. Oh no, they're getting angry. Yeah, I wouldn't want this to happen to me. They look so scary with no legs. I decided to give Hunky Jake a 9 out of 10. His animations are broken, but he looks good. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made the Jester. I used a pillager for the Jester. I colored one half purple, added some spikes, and then I gave him some eyes. I added the Jester to the game, and he looked pretty good. He looks a lot better than I thought he would. His face looked kind of weird in Blockbench. He also needs to stop aiming the bow at me. I'm not hostile. Next, I decided to see who would win, the Jester or Hunky Jake. I think we already know what's gonna happen. Yeah, the Jester got one hit. He had no chance. I decided to spawn an army of Jesters, and then I put them all against Hunky Jake. Okay, they might be able to win this time. There's a lot of them. That is if they stop shooting each other. Yeah, Hunky Jake wins this one too. Hopefully the Jester is more powerful in the real game. I decided to give the Jester an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but also kind of weird. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Evil Banbaleena. For this one, I used a piglin. I colored her white, added some creepy eyes, and then I gave her some horns. Oh, that's not a piglin, that's a pig. Evil Banbaleena actually looks really good in game. She might be even better than Evil Banban. Oh yeah, she turns into a zombie. We have to go to the Nether. But as I was saying, she actually looks really scary, even in Minecraft. Come on, Banbaleena, give me some pearls. No, that's not what I wanted. I decided to spawn a baby Banbaleena, and it looked just as scary, and then I spawned an army of evil Banbaleenas. Oh, some of them have drip. After that, I decided to get chased by all the Banbaleenas. I won't be late for class again, I'm sorry. I guess she doesn't want to send me to the principal's office. I decided to give Evil Banbaleena a 10 out of 10. She actually looks pretty scary in Minecraft. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Sharp Claw, and I used an Iron Golem to make him. I changed the shape of his body, colored him pink, and then I added his eyes. Okay, this actually looks pretty good in game. Well, at least he looks like the picture. His nails are also really dirty. This guy definitely needs a shower. Sharp Claw kind of looks like Barney, so let's see if he's a friendly dinosaur. Okay, I don't think he wants to be friends. He's kind of mean, actually. Because he's so mean, I decided to make him fight Hunky Jake. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. We already know Hunky Jake can beat an Iron Golem from earlier. But what about 4 Sharp Claws? Okay, one is already dead. This isn't looking good. Dang, Hunky Jake is crazy. Yeah, I guess 4 Sharp Claws can't take this guy out. He's invincible. I decided to give Sharp Claw a 7 out of 10. I'm disappointed that 4 of them couldn't kill a Hunky Jake. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Charlie Cake. I decided to make him from a creeper. I deleted all this stuff, shaped him into a cake, and then I colored him in. After that, I drew his faces, added these things, and gave him some eyes. I don't think this is the right cake. He doesn't appear to be moving. Charlie Cake actually looks pretty decent, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a lot bigger. I don't know how he ended up this small. I will say he looks like he tastes a lot better than the actual cake, though. Hey man, I was just kidding. I'm not gonna eat you. I decided to see a baby Charlie Cake, and then I realized that isn't real, so instead I spawned a supercharged Charlie Cake. Okay, I think the charge is a little bit tall for him. Oh, and the head is also moving. That's kind of weird. I decided to spawn a Sharp Claw, and then I tested if supercharged Charlie Cake can one-shot him. Oh wow, that actually did a lot of damage, and he wasn't even really close to him, so he probably could have killed him. Here you go, Sharp Claw. I'll fix you up. I decided to give Charlie Cake a 7 out of 10. I don't really like how he looks. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Cyclopus. I used a Hoglin to make him. First I deleted all this stuff, next I colored him in, and then I gave him an eye. After that I gave him teeth, added his arms, and I put the collar around his arm. Cyclopus actually looks pretty good in game, but I'm not sure why he is shaking. Oh yeah, he turns into a zombie, that's why he's shaking. I went to the Nether to go and find Cyclopus, and this is how he looks without the shake. I'm not gonna lie, he looks kinda like Stinky Joel from the last video, except he's red. This guy is walking a lot slower though, and he looks like he wants to eat me for dinner. What about a baby Cyclopus? Okay, this guy is way too small. I don't think he can even jump up one block. I decided to spawn an army of Cyclopses, and then I made them all chase me. I don't know why they're so much faster now that they want to kill me. This is unfair. Okay, I need to stop getting chased by things. This is like the third time this video. Cyclopus and Evil Banbaleena are both nether mobs, so I decided to see who would win in a fight. Banbaleena has a bow. She should be able to win this one. Okay, never mind. Cyclopus actually won. I decided to give Cyclopus an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Crabzilla. I made Crabzilla from a Strider. I moved his legs, shaped his body, and then I colored him red. After that, I gave him some eyes and some claws. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's not what his legs are supposed to look like. I don't know how this always happens. I tried to fix his legs, and this is what Crabzilla looked like in game. I'm not gonna lie, he looks pretty good other than when his body randomly turns without his legs. But stuff like that is normal around here, so he looks good. I spawned a baby Crabzilla, and he looked about the same, except for his feet sinking into the ground. And then I decided to ride a Crabzilla. Okay, so I'm kind of sitting on his eyes, so I'm not sure if he can see. Yeah, there's definitely mobs that look good when you ride them, and this is not one of them. Also, I like how the baby is just following us around. That's kind of funny. I decided to give Crabzilla a 9 out of 10. He looks good, but his body is broken. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Mr. Smitty. I used a Vindicator to make him. I shrunk his legs and arms, colored him pink, and then I shaped his head. Next, I gave him some nostrils, added his eyes, and then I put the orange things on his back. Okay, Mr. Smitty actually looks pretty good in game. I like how his arms are crossed like that. It makes him look cool. But other than that, I don't know. He looks kind of boring. Since Mr. Smitty is a Vindicator, I decided to see if he can beat Sharp Claw in a fight. These guys kind of look like relatives. I think Mr. Smitty is Sharp Claw's little brother. He fought him like his little brother too. He got destroyed. Since Mr. Smitty lost to Sharp Claw, I decided to feed him a villager to make him happy. I don't like him as much with the axe out. He looks kind of scary. RIP villager, Mr. Smitty was too fast. I decided to give Mr. Smitty a 6 out of 10. I'm not sure why, but I don't really like him. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Remy. Remy is a dog, so I used a wolf. I colored him orange, shaped his mouth, and then I gave him some eyes. After that, I added his teeth, and finally I gave him some feet. I added Remy to the game, and he looked a little bit better than he did in Blockbench. I'm not gonna lie, he looked pretty bad in Blockbench though, so at least this is a little bit better. I wish I could say the same for the baby one though. Why is his head so big? Don't worry guys, nothing to see here. I decided to tame a Remy, and this is what he looks like when he's sitting down. I don't know why, but this reminds me of the dog from Mickey Mouse. Maybe he's supposed to be a scary version of him or something. To see if he really is scary, I decided to make him fight Evil Banbaleena. Okay, he can't be making those noises when he gets hit. I feel bad. Wow, he actually almost lost. That one was close. I'm going to give Remy a 7 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, but he isn't really good either. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Lazcat. I used a cat for this one, obviously. I moved his legs, colored him pink, and then I shaped his head. Next, I colored his mouth, gave him some eyes, and finally I gave him some teeth. Okay, this one is probably one of the worst mobs I've made, but it also looks pretty good for what it is. Like, I can't really see how I could have made this better. He just looks bad in general. What about a baby Lazcat? Okay, this is just too small. It kind of looks like a mouse. I decided to tame a Lazcat, and this is what he looks like when he is sitting down. Okay, I think there's something wrong with his front legs. They aren't really connected anymore. Since Lazcat is a cat and Remy is a dog, I decided to see which one of them will win in a fight. Okay, I guess dogs are stronger than cats. This settles it. I decided to give Lazcat a 6 out of 10. He looks worse than Remy. Next, I made Fairy Aruru, and I know she's gonna be in the actual game, but I'm still making her. I colored her body purple, gave her a face, face, and then added her wand. I added her to the game and her head was looking kind of broken, so I decided to fix that. Okay, that's still a little messed up, but it's good enough. Also, her feet are both on the same leg, but I'm not fixing that. Only one fix per mob. Oh yeah, I forgot that happens. Since Fairy Aruru was made from a Hoglin, I decided to go find her in the Nether. I'm not usually a fan of these guys because they like to hit you from far away, but I guess for Fairy Aruru, I'll make an exception. Since Banban is also a Nether mob, I decided to see who would win, Banban or Fairy Aruru. Dang, Banban's going in. Wait, Banban actually won that. I thought Fairy Aruru was gonna win, not gonna lie. I decided to spawn an army of fairies and then I made them all chase me. Hopefully this doesn't happen in the actual game because these guys are kind of scary. Also, their legs look kind of funny. I'm going to give Fairy Aruru an 8 out of 10. Other than the broken stuff, she looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Tall Victor. I used an Enderman for Tall Victor because he's tall. I colored him fully green, added these things on the bottom, and then I gave him an eye. After that I added his goofy mouth, gave him a broccoli head, and fixed his arms a little bit. I added Tall Victor to the game and he actually ended up looking pretty good. He looks kind of funny when he walks though. I don't really think it's supposed to look like that. Since Tall Victor is supposed to be a vegetable, it only makes sense to make him fight Jumbo Josh. Okay, yeah, Victor had no chance. Jumbo Josh eats too many vegetables. I went to the end to find more Tall Victors and then I got them all to chase me. I don't even know if this is scary. His face looks kind of goofy. Okay, well even if it's not scary, it's still deadly. Tall Victor, you better apologize for killing me or I'm not looking away. I'm going to give Tall Victor a 9 out of 10. He honestly looks pretty good, especially as a meal. Next I made Nibbler. I decided to make Nibbler from a wither, cause well, I don't know, I just never used the wither. I kind of forgot to record me making Nibbler, so here's me adding some orange things on his arms, cause that's all I have. I spawned the Nibbler in game, and he was honestly looking pretty crazy. Ignore the black spot on the bottom, I didn't know this would happen. I'm pretty sure Nibbler doesn't fly around and attack random mobs, so I don't think this is accurate. I'm also not sure if you see it, but he kind of looks like the guy from Monsters Inc. There's honestly not much to do with this guy, so I decided to see if he can beat Jumbo Josh. Jumbo Josh is the most powerful Banban mob so far, but he might lose this one. Yeah, Nibbler's health bar is barely moving. This isn't looking good. Come on, Jumbo Josh, you can win this one. Okay, I was lying. There's no way he was winning this one. I guess I'm gonna have to step in and end this. Yeah, I had even less chance than Jumbo Josh. Nibbler is too good. I decided to give Nibbler an 8 out of 10. I honestly can't really tell if he looks good or bad, so I'm just gonna go with good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Miss Luna. I decided to make her from a bee because I think she's a bug. I colored her body purple, gave her some eyes, and then I added her crown. After that I added her dress, gave her some legs, and finally added her wings. She actually ended up looking pretty good in game. The flying suits her well. I will say her eyes look kind of weird though. She looks sad. I decided to spawn a baby Miss Luna and it looked exactly the same. I don't really know what I was expecting. Miss Luna is probably pretty good at fighting, so I decided to put that to the test. Okay, maybe I was wrong. She didn't even really fight. I spawned an army of Miss Lunas and then I decided to make them all follow me. Okay, this one isn't that scary. Oh wait, why is she upside down? Wait, I just noticed that bees like to attack Zoglins for some reason. Look at them all ganging up on the Zoglin, like what is going on? I decided to give Miss Luna an 8 out of 10. She looks really good, but she doesn't really do anything. She's kind of boring. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Dr. Fluffy Pants. I made him from a panda. I moved his head, colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. Next I added his eyes, gave him some ear things, and made the heart on his chest. Dr. Fluffy Pants is definitely an interesting name for a guy like this. He looks kind of buff. Also, we'll ignore his head. I know it's broken, but I don't care. Wait, look at him rolling around. That's kind of crazy. Since I made him from a panda, I decided to feed Dr. Fluffy Pants some bamboo. Yeah, there is definitely something wrong with him. This is not okay. I decided to spawn a baby Dr. Fluffy Pants, and this is what happened. Well, the good thing is I can't break him by feeding him bamboo. The bad thing is his head is floating higher than before by default. Oh wait, they're following me because I'm holding bamboo. I didn't even realize. Since Dr. Fluffy Pants is a doctor, I decided to see if he can perform an operation. Alright, I guess he doesn't feel like doing it. He's just gonna leave this villager to die. I decided to give Dr. Fluffy Pants a 7 out of 10. I like how he looks, but his head is broken. We can't excuse that. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Chef Pigster, and I made him from a pig. I gave him his face on his chest, added his other head on the top, and then I gave him some sideways arms. Chef Pigster Pigster actually looks pretty good in game, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a lot bigger. His arms also don't move with his head, but I'm not fixing that. Chef Pigster is supposed to be a chef, so I decided to see if he can cook me a meal. I probably shouldn't have chosen a pork chop, that's kinda messed up. After that, I decided to spawn a baby Chef Pigster. I kinda forgot that all the baby pigs have this weird thing with their head. Also, there's an eye on his back, not sure how I didn't notice that. I spawned an army of Chef Pigsters, and then I made them all follow me. Yeah, this definitely isn't scary at all. I decided to give Chef Pigster an 8 out of 10. His bottom head looks really good. Not the top head though, I don't know what this is. Next, I made Coach Pickles. I used a Strider to make him because he kind of resembles a Strider. I made his legs a lot bigger, colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. Next, I added his trunk, gave him some weird looking eyes, and then I added his ears. Okay, I'm pretty sure something is wrong, but I can't really tell what. I fixed his legs, and this is how he looks in game. He honestly looks pretty good. Okay, his other foot is attached to the wrong leg still, but I'm just gonna leave it. Also, we ignore the missing texture here. It doesn't look like that in Blockbench. Coach Pickles probably coaches some sort of sports team, so let's see if he can beat me in a snowball fight. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. Let's see what a baby Pickles looks like. He looks just about as cursed as the big one. I decided to ride a Coach Pickles, and I'm pretty sure that something doesn't look right. I'm going to give Coach Pickles a 7 out of 10. He honestly looks kinda weird. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Nabnalina. I already made Nabnab, so I just took the Nabnab model and changed it a little bit. First, I made the tongue a different shape, then I fixed her eyes, and finally I colored her pink. This is kinda weird. For some reason, she looks just like Nabnab. I also forgot that Nabnalina is supposed to have a bow on her head, so I added that. When I made Nabnab, I got him to chase me, so I had to get chased by Nabnalina as well. This looks just as scary as last time. I also found a way to make it look like Nabnalina is chasing me on a roof, just like how Nabnab does in the game. Well, she doesn't chase me, but it looks like she's on a roof, so that's cool. I decided to have a fight between Chef Pigster and Nabnalina, and you will never expect what happened next. Okay, it was kind of obvious what would happen, I'm just bored. I decided to give Nabnalina a 6 out of 10 because that's what I gave Nabnab and they look the same. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Hunter Tim. I made Hunter Tim from a Ravager. First, I made his head bigger, then I colored him purple, and I added some hair to his head. I also gave him a big wide mouth, added his eyes, and gave him a couple of arms and feet. Hunter Tim looks kinda strange in game, but at least nothing is broken this time, I think. Since Hunter Tim is a Ravager, let's see him take on a villager. Wow, he's fast. His head looks kinda weird when he attacks, but that's fine. Also, I'm pretty sure hunters aren't supposed to kill villagers, they're supposed to kill animals to feed the villagers. But I guess Hunter Tim is just built different. To see if he really is built different, I decided to challenge him to a fight. Yeah, I had 0 chance, I can't even tell where I was supposed to be hitting. I decided to spawn an army of Hunter Tims, and then I made them fight a warden. The warden seems to be killing a lot of them, but they might actually win this. Dang, the Hunter Tims actually won. I mean, it was a 10v1, so it's not really an accomplishment, but I'm still surprised. I'm going to give Hunter Tim an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad. It's time for the next mob. For the next mob, I made Stinky Joel. I used an iron golem to make him. I shaped his body, colored him green, and then I added these teeth things. After that, I gave him some eyes, colored his legs, and then I rotated his arms a bit. I don't think I even have to say something is broken because you already know it is. I fixed his arms, which took a while because I somehow put both arms on the wrong side, and this is how Stinky Joel looks in game. He kinda stinks. I'm just kidding, he doesn't actually look that bad. I decided to see who would win in a fight, Stinky Joel or Hunter Tim. This fight is actually a lot closer than I thought. Stinky Joel won. I'm actually kinda surprised, I thought Hunter Tim had that. Will he beat 2 Hunter Tims though? Nope, 2 Hunter Tims is too many for him. I spawned an army of Stinky Joels, and honestly I'm not sure why. I didn't even do anything with them. I then gave Stinky Joel a bottle of Dragon's Breath because that's the stinkiest thing I could find, and then I decided to give him a 7 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, but he isn't interesting enough. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Noodles Ninja. Since Noodles Ninja looks like a jellyfish, I decided to make him from an Elder Guardian. I removed all this stuff, colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. After that, I added his eyes, added some noodles on the side, and then I gave him some arms and legs. Surprisingly, nothing broke with this one. His legs are in the ground, but he's supposed to be in the water anyway, so that's fine. Also, the sound he makes is kind of weird, but I didn't add that. That's not my fault. Let's see a baby Noodles Ninja. Oh yeah, that's not a thing. I decided to spawn a Noodles Ninja in the water, and this is how he looked. He looks a lot better in water because you can actually see his legs. He would also look a lot better if his arms and legs moved, but I'm not doing all that. I decided to fight Noodles Ninja to see if he really is a ninja. I really should get some armor for these fights. I decided to give Noodles Ninja an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but his eyes are kinda scary. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Silent Steve. And Silent Steve is a serpent, so I made him from a warden, because those two are the exact same thing. I deleted everything except his body, colored him purple, and then I started shaping his new body. After that, I started making his head, gave him some eyes, and then I added his tongue. Yeah, this looks really bad, but it's gonna have to do. At least he isn't broken. He also kind of moves like a serpent, so that's cool. Okay, maybe that's not how a serpent moves, but I'm pretending it does. Since Silent Steve is a serpent, it only makes sense to spawn him in the water. Surprisingly, it actually looks like he belongs here. I decided to see if Silent Steve or Noodles Ninja is the superior water monster. Okay, this fight is kind of weird. I don't think the warden can melee in water. But even though he can't melee, Silent Steve still won. Okay, that's enough Silent Steve for now. He's kind of cursed. I decided to give Silent Steve a 3 out of 10 because I just don't really know what this is supposed to be. I added every character from Wednesday to Minecraft, starting with Wednesday, the main character of the show. I made her head and gave her some hair, and then I spent 20 minutes trying to make her face. After making a face that didn't look terrible, I colored in her clothes and added her braids, and finally I put a little more detail in her clothes and I was done. I added her to the game and she had these massive arms that I couldn't figure out how to fix, so I gave her some new arms instead and it just made things worse. Eventually I figured out how to fix it, and this is how Wednesday looks in game. Having her arms on the side like this actually looks more accurate because she walks like this in the show. Also, because I made her from a witch, I decided to recreate the opening scene by turning the potions into piranhas and then having her throw them at me in the pool. Next, I'm making Thing, who's my personal favorite character because of his advanced dialogue. He said it, not me. I bent his fingers, gave him a thumb, and then added the wrist thing on the top. After that, I colored him in and added some cuts and stitches all around him. I kind of forgot that Spider's legs aren't straight, so I had to remove the original legs and add them to the body instead. But after that, he was still walking sideways and floating, so I had to fix that as well. Finally, I added him to the game and nothing was wrong. Well, except for the fact that his fingers don't move, but it's that or this. Also, Thing is massive when compared to Wednesday. I'm not really sure how this works. Next, I made my actual favorite character, Eugene. Eugene is this kid who really likes bees, so I decided to make him from a bee. I squished the bee into a body, and then I gave it some legs and a head. I added his puffy hair, and then I gave him a face, and next I added his glasses. I then gave him a gray shirt and added some detail to the shirt, and I almost forgot to give him arms, so finally I gave him some arms. I think if you ignore the fact that he's able to fly, he looks pretty good. Eugene usually takes care of the bees, but now the bees will take care of him. Now it's time to make my actual favorite character, Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester is this weird guy who can make electricity, so I made him from a creeper. You'll see why. I turned the creeper body into a human body, and then I colored his shirt and added the collar on top. I then gave him a face, and I tried to blend the dark parts around his eyes into his skin, and it ended up looking kind of weird. Next, I gave him some ears, and finally I colored in his pants. I'm not going to lie, he kind of looks like the McDonald's villain. Because Uncle Fester conducts electricity, I decided to edit the charged creeper to fit him, and it was surprisingly easier than I thought. In the show, Uncle Fester is also shown downing an entire bottle of ketchup, so I retextured the potions to ketchup bottles out of respect for him. This is how Uncle Fester looks when he's surrounded in electricity, and this is how much damage he does when you aren't paying attention. The charge made Uncle Fester too dangerous, so I decided to put him in prison for the various crimes he committed in the show. Next we'll make Enid, and she's a wolf, so I'm going to make her from a wolf. Creating a person from a wolf isn't the easiest thing to do, so I basically deleted all the body parts and made her body myself. I then added her hair with the fancy colors on the side, and I gave her a face. After that, I made her a striped sweater, and finally I put her hands in a claw position or something. Surprisingly, she isn't too broken in game except for her fingers. I'm trying to find out why I put both thumbs on the same side. I put Enid next to Wednesday, and there's a really weird height difference. I mean, look guys, she's even taller than me. I also tried to tame her because she's a wolf. In the show, there is a monster, and it looks kinda goofy, but it's supposed to be scary, so I made it from the scariest mob, the warden. I gave it a big hunchback, and then I repositioned all of its body parts. I then gave him a big mouth and some funny looking eyes, and then I filled his mouth with teeth. Finally, I colored the rest of him blue, and gave him a little bit of hair on his head, just like he has in the show. Okay, it seems there's a little bit of a problem with his body parts. I fixed his body, and he still looked terribly messed up because of the warden's animations, so I decided to just leave it, mainly because I don't know how to change animations. Alright, now we can see who will win. Wednesday and Enid versus the Hyde. Okay, this is a really good fight, guys. The next character we'll be making is Tyler, for no reason, of course. I made Tyler from a piglin because, well, I don't know, I just did it. I gave him some hair, and then I drew his face, and I decided to make him from the coffee shop, so I gave him a brown shirt, and then I added his apron, and finally I gave him some black pants. I added him to the game, and I noticed that I made his head way too big. Also, there is something wrong with his apron, but I'm not fixing it. I don't care. Now that I had made Tyler, I decided to recreate the dance scene. I had to build it in the nether because, well, you know. I used quartz and black concrete to make the checkered floor design, and then I added the stage with speakers on it. After that, I added these tables on the side, and I filled the entire roof with black concrete. Next, I made the walls blue, and I added these chandelier things on the roof. I edited Wednesday's model to make her wearing a dress instead, and then I edited Tyler's model to make him wearing a suit. Finally, I spawned a bunch of random people on the side, and then I spawned Tyler and Wednesday. Oh yeah, I forgot about her arms. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to make Wednesday dance, but I do know how to make Tyler dance, if that helps. Next, let's add Xavier. Xavier? I forgot how to say it. Xavier is a magician or something, so I decided to make him from an illusioner. I added his long hair, and then I gave him some eyes and a mouth. Next, I colored his shirt blue and added some details to the front. The school uniform has a bunch of stripes on it, so I added some black stripes all around his shirt, and finally I colored in his pants. I spawned him in the game, and this is how he looks. Honestly, it looks pretty good. I think his head might be a little too big, but I keep doing that, so it's fine. In the show, Xavier is shown doing archery, so I decided to see how good of a shot he is. Okay, that's one hit. Alright, now he's missing every shot. Oh, he hit me again. Let's see what happens if I hit him. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. Yeah, that's probably why they never added this mob. Next, I'm going to be making the Addams Family characters. We'll start with Gomez, who is a very successful businessman, so I made him from my favorite businessman, the Wandering Trader. First, I removed his clothes, and I don't know what I was doing here. But next, I made his body a little larger, and gave him some hair, and added his mustache, which makes him look like he has rabbit teeth. I then colored in his clothes and gave him a fancy collar, and finally I added some stripes all around his suit. For some reason his arms are kind of busted and his teeth look more like rabbit's teeth than ever, but I think he looked fine. Okay, maybe that's a problem. Apparently Gomez is worth $2 billion, so I went to check what he was selling to try to be like him, but I just found a bunch of useless items. I guess the secret to being a billionaire is selling lily pads, and also having a llama that's taller than you. Next, let's make Morticia, and Morticia is supposed to be a witch, but I already used the witch, so I used the evoker, because that's kinda similar, right? I removed all this stuff and gave her some hair and some face, and then I colored her dress fully black and extended it down to the floor because it's very long. I don't really think this one looked that good, and the dress on the floor really doesn't help. Why did I do that? Her neck is also not attached, but that's probably normal for the Addams family. I also tried to spawn her with Gomez, but she just tries to kill him. Next, let's make Pugsley, and in the show, Pugsley gets bullied, so I made him from a chicken. I moved all the chicken's body parts to make a human body, and then I gave him some hair and added his face. Next, I gave him a black and white striped shirt, and unfortunately, I decided to change the chicken legs to human legs instead. I added him to the game, and he was still flapping his wings like a chicken, but his head was completely broken, so I had to fix his head. I'm honestly surprised that he looks pretty normal, other than the flapping wings. Even baby Pugsley doesn't look broken. I then decided to put Pugsley in a locker, just like in the opening scene. Wait, I didn't mean it. Next, we're going to make Lurch, and Lurch is a really tall butler who kind of looks like a zombie, so I had to make him from a giant. I gave him a thin and tall head, and then I gave him a little bit of hair. Next, I added his face, which doesn't really look like him at all, and then I colored his clothes. Finally, I added a bit of detail to the collar area, and I added him to the game. I have to stop making giants. They literally do nothing. Also, we're just ignoring the hands. There's nothing wrong with them. Next, instead of making a character, I'm going to turn the Ender Dragon into the Addams Family car. First, I deleted all the dragon body parts, and then I added some windows and a grill on the front. Next, I added some tires, and then I extended out the sides above the tires. Finally, I made the back of the car slant down a little bit, and then I added some lights to the front of the car. I tried to make Lurch drive the car, but I don't think that will be possible. Also, the car is flying, so that's kinda, yeah. Alright, now that we've created all the characters, it's time to put them all against the hide. Okay, I guess they don't really like each other, so we'll have to do it like this. Alright, this isn't gonna work. This is completely useless.